Am I the asshole for pressing charges on a former friend for shaving my head in my sleep? For context, a relative of what used to be a close friend of mine, whom we'll call Gary for this story, contracted cancer. I, mid-20s male, was sympathetic and even contributed $100 to a donation pool for their treatment. But Gary came to me one day and took his hat off to reveal a freshly shaven head. He told me that everyone in his family were doing it in support of his relative, and so were a lot of our mutual friends. He then asked that I get on the bandwagon. I told him that I didn't want to shave my head because I like my hair. My hair is black, regularly combed, and well styled. He said that I could just get a wig or something, and had actually brought his shaver kit. He was unboxing it when I told him that this was not happening. I don't even really know his relative that he's doing this for, so I'm not doing it. End of discussion. He called me an asshole and left angry. We didn't speak for a week. And then last Saturday, I got invited to a party at another close friend's house. There I found out that Gary had tried the same thing on several other friends, and only a couple of them actually did shave their heads. Gary wasn't at the party, so I had a blast hanging out, playing video games, and listening to rock music. But I had way too much to drink and couldn't drive home, so they said that I could just sleep upstairs. I passed out on a bed, and it was a blissful sleep until I was shaken awake by another friend who told me that Gary had shown up late and they caught him shaving my head while I was passed out. I saw what looked like a mirror and wanted to scream like I was in a horror movie. Gary even shaved off one of my eyebrows. Jesus Christ, Gary. Bro said just a little off the top and took the rest. Gary was still there and acting proud of himself, saying, "Now you're gonna have to shave off the rest, just like me, lol." I was furious and called the cops. When they got there, Gary fully admitted to what he had done to me and even said he was justified. The police didn't seem to think so, as this is classified as a form of assault. They asked me if I wanted to press charges, and the first words out of my mouth were, "Hell yes." Gary cussed me out while they took him away in cuffs. I tried to get my hair restyled into something presentable, but there was no saving it, and now I'm bald too. Now a bunch of Gary's family are telling me to drop the charges because Gary was off his meds and he didn't mean to do it. I was like, what the hell? Because I never knew that he was on meds to begin with, but I still refuse to drop the charges. It'll take months to grow my hair back to the way that it was. But all of the calls and messages from Gary's relatives are starting to get to me. Just about everyone else in our friend group has cut Gary out though, and say that I'm doing the right thing by not dropping the charges. So now I'm divided. Am I the asshole for pressing charges on a former friend for shaving my head in my sleep? Edit. I just want to make something clear here. So many people have said things like, "Dude, it's just hair." But would they be saying that if I wasn't a man? What if I was some girl that had hair that took years to grow? Would they be saying the same thing? Sure, hair grows back, but it takes time. If it was something that grew back fast, people would be less inclined to care. But it's not fast, it takes months, and for some who had long hair, years. That's a lot of time wasted growing. And I don't plan on pushing for Gary to go to prison, but I don't plan to drop the charges either. His family already bailed him out, and while I didn't know that he was on meds, I knew he had quite the temper and even an entitled attitude at times. One example being a lunch where he wanted us to all combine the check and split it evenly. He got the most expensive thing on the menu. I got a cheeseburger. When we all said no, Gary went off on us for not being good friends. He's always been an asshole when he doesn't get his way, and I've known him for like 3 years. This incident was the last straw for not just me, but a lot of other mutual friends. As for the charges, I don't want to send Gary to prison, but I would like him to get some therapy and community service. With the way Gary has acted around me in the past, and what he did to me, I actually wonder how long before he got more violent. I've seen and heard him getting in fights for less. Edit 2, I've got many comments from people saying, "You're the asshole, he has cancer." If you actually read what I posted, Gary's not the one with cancer. A relative of his that I don't know does. And no, I don't know what kind of cancer, because Gary didn't elaborate. He wanted me to shave my head for this person, and when I refused, he left in a tantrum, and then shaved my head while I was passed out drunk at a party. In the comments, Ghostess Hostess asks, but did you shave the other eyebrow to even out the regrowth? And OP says, unfortunately, yes, I had to. Not the arsehole. Being off the meds may be a reason, but it's never an excuse, and that was definitely assault. In fact, if you haven't already told the police, make sure they know that Gary previously asked you to get on the bandwagon, said he'd shave it for you while unpacking his equipment, you refused, and he verbally assaulted you. He knew that you didn't and wouldn't consent, but did it anyway while you were unconscious. Block Gary and his relatives from everything. Try not to get upset when you can't avoid a mirror, and hope that your hair grows back better than before. OP says, the police know every detail about Gary that I've given here, save for his family harassing me, which I intend to tell the police about ASAP. Scotty Button says, not the arsehole. Lucky for you, the only difference between a bad haircut and a good one is a couple of weeks. Maybe a couple of months for you, though. Sorry, bud. And OP says, it'll be a couple of months, sadly. It'll probably take 5 months to get my hair back to looking as good as it was. OP, in regards to if his other friends knew about this, says, my friends all want nothing to do with Gary anymore. They didn't egg him on, they had no idea he was gonna do what he did. Lumpy Passenger says, actually, if you're gonna talk to the DA, they may be able to offer him a plea where he needs to stay on meds/go into treatment. Not the arsehole. OP says, I already figured not much was going to happen since I wasn't harmed other than my hair. Whatever deal he takes in court, if he gets one, won't really matter to me. What does matter to me is that this due process makes him realize just how badly he screwed up, meds or no meds. And OP, in regards to if Gary brought his own shaving kit, he used some stuff that was in the bathroom next door to the room that I was sleeping in. He didn't bring his own, but I can see why you'd think that. It's far from the first time that I've passed out at a friend's house, and Gary knew that. In fact, he was probably waiting for it. If anything, this has been a wake-up call to get my drinking under control. Info: how did he get into the house? You are 100% not the arsehole and should press charges, but who let him in that house? It was someone else's place, and I'm assuming he either came in super late or early in the morning. The reason I'm asking is that in addition to Gary, someone let him into the house, and I would be interested to know the reasoning. And OP says, Gary got in because they let him in. They figured his tangent about hair was over. He tried to convince a bunch of them to shave their heads like he did to me, and none of the people there let him do it. My guess is he singled me out because I was passed out. If not me, it could have been anyone else there if they'd passed out drunk instead. I guess for me personally, I wonder if you do take this to the police, whether they'd even take it seriously. Does this have to be escalated to small claims court or above to get a serious judgment? Yes, on the surface, it definitely is assault. It is something that was done to you while unconscious. If you have a good lawyer, I'm sure they could throw a bunch of things at it. But I really just do question how serious any enforcement is going to take this, because more often than not, I've seen them not take this nature of crime serious at all. OP was done incredibly dirty in this situation, and I'm genuinely surprised he didn't beat the shit out of Gary when he woke up after seeing what happened to him. Because Gary deserves it. Gary deserves 3 black eyes for what he did to OP here, and I'm sure no one would argue with it, and everyone would back OP up for doing so. I don't care if an eye for an eye makes the world go blind. Gary deserves it. If he gets away with doing something like this to OP, who's to say he doesn't get emboldened to do something worse to someone next time? His actions deserve serious consequences. Screw Gary, not the arsehole OP. And now, onto the updates, 1 year later. So a friend of mine just showed me a video yesterday in which my old video post had been read. Honestly, I'd nearly forgotten about it since I was only there to ask if I was the arsehole or not. And since I don't want to go through the pain of trying to do an update on Am I the Arsehole, I thought I would just do it here since entitled spells out Gary pretty well. Other than the shaving incident, he tried to get us to partially pay for his food multiple times by combining the checks and dividing it equally when he always got the most expensive thing on the menu, and once even pulled the "I forgot my wallet" bit. He was described as a neckbeard by multiple people, including women that he flirted with. He tried to get a married neighbor woman that was older than him to have an affair with her, and then later egged her apartment door when she refused. That one I only learned about a couple of months after my original post. And no, Gary never saw consequences for doing that. I also learned he stole several video games and DVDs from friends, mooched food and drinks out of their fridges, and even went through a period as a squatter for 2 months by refusing to leave a house that he had been let into by a former tenant, and the landlord actually paid him to leave. Gary's also an extreme hypocrite that contradicted himself more than a corrupt politician. For example, one minute he'd be anti-vax, the next he'd be complaining about other people who weren't getting the COVID-19 vaccine. Pretty sure he never got it too. I can't believe I ever had any sympathy for this man. Opie does a recap, I'll skip to the end, and he was laughing his butt off over having done it, so yes, the rest had to come off. I ended up pressing charges on Gary for assault, and found out that he had been on meds for a mental disorder for years, and he had stopped taking the meds, which is one of the reasons why he was so loopy. But his tune changed pretty quick when the police arrested him, since what he had done qualifies as assault. Gary's family harassed me and tried to make me drop the charges. I not only didn't drop the charges, but I reported the harassment to the police. The only problem is that it didn't bloody stop. In fact, it got worse. Mainly from Gary's mother, whom I can see where Gary got his charming personality from. She showed up to my apartment a couple of weeks after the shaving incident to scream at me that I knew nothing about what they were going through, and a little hair wasn't a big deal. I told her that my hair was a big deal to me, and what Gary did was inexcusable. Well, that earned a slap on the face, followed by a swift kick to the nuts, followed by a few more kicks to my body after I went down. It was all recorded by a camera that I had watching the front door, as the landlord wouldn't let me put in a Ring doorbell camera. One of my neighbors saw her and screamed that they'd be calling the police. Gary's mum ran, and I ended up going to the hospital with minor injuries. Mostly just bruises, a black eye, and a sore groin. Gary's mother got arrested, and I filed a lawsuit against her for attacking me. I saw her in court twice for both her assault on me and the lawsuit that I filed for her assault. This woman had taken several self-defense classes over the years, so she knew how to fight. That had the judge consider her to be a trained individual, and she was sentenced to 6 months in jail, given 2 years probation, and ordered to pay my medical bills. She actually cried to the judge about the money, but he wasn't having it. It took some time to see her in court again for my lawsuit against her, as she was out of jail by then. I was awarded $10,000 for the harassment, emotional damages, and lost work hours, and she had to pay all court and lawyer fees, which she cried about again because she didn't want to pay anything to the man who had ruined her and her son's lives. But she had the money for both court cases because she had no problem paying. But around that time, I heard Gary's relative with cancer passed away. I don't know any details, just that they passed on. I admit that was sad, but I never knew this person. Gary made their condition his hill to die on when he tried to make an example out of me. Gary got some probation and community service for what he did to my hair, and he cut contact with our entire friend group and eventually moved away. Where to? I don't know, but I don't care either. As for my hair, well, it grew back just fine. Took nearly half a year to get back to how it was. My boss had me put out of sight for a while, and I was wearing a hat everywhere for at least a month. I did take that $10,000 that I got in the lawsuit and combined it with my savings for a down payment on a house, so I've since moved into a much better abode. I also have a girlfriend now that's living with me. It was a bit soon for her to move in, but there were extenuating circumstances. We're happy making it work though, and I'm happy. In the comments, Mountain Dream says, "Here's the thing. As a man, you're reluctant to fight back against a woman, but she's no lady either. Don't ever just let someone slap and kick you because you refuse to fight back. Also, did the mother shave her head?" And OP says, "No, she didn't shave her head, unless she had a wig on, which I doubt. I don't know how many people in Gary's family did shave their heads, because his mother was the only one of the relatives that I saw in person since the shaving incident. Otherwise, all the harassment was online and over the phone, and yes, I was reluctant to strike back. But that old woman was faster than she looked, and that shooting pain from being kicked in the nuts is something that I never want to feel again. Darcinia says, Reaction 1. I wish more people saw the hair altercation as an actual attack. You can't even look at yourself the same way for days, weeks, or months afterwards. It's a very personal crime in my opinion. I'm also annoyed at the commenters who missed that Gary's not the one with cancer. And reaction 2, a person connected to the interpersonal conflict showed up at OP's house and physically attacked them, resulting in hospital and arrest? You don't say. The other reason for involuntary hair alteration being a big deal is the built-in risks of a razor or scissors being close to the resisting person's head. They try to get away an unlucky way and get cut open by a deadly weapon. And you know Gary wouldn't have thought to sanitize the thing properly first. That could lead to bloodborne infections and possibly even STIs, depending on what happened with it before. I hate it when people use the "I was off my meds" excuse. Motherfucker, it's your responsibility to take your meds. Anything you do because you failed in that responsibility is purely your own fault. I'd have more understanding if it was an undiagnosed condition, like a first manic episode for bipolar, but if they were already on a treatment plan and it was working, no real excuse anymore. Behind every bipolar fuckwit like Gary is an enabling parent or parents who pretend that their adult train wreck isn't responsible for their actions when it's their responsibility to take their medication. Source, getting divorced from a bipolar fuckhead who decided that he didn't want to take medication anymore and proceeded to ruin everyone's life, but mummy has suddenly decided that it's everyone else's fault and won't push him to get treatment. In fact, she's actively obstructing it. Dude, I love the comments. I love the comments so much. It's like, sometimes so much better than the story itself. Like Christ, getting divorced from a bipolar man who refuses to take the medication, and mum's like, actually, that's your fault, not his. He's perfect. I love him. If you see me with an unhinged son, mind your business. He loves me. Also, this story was so Australia-coded. There's like the most Australian story I've had in a while. Oh, bloody hell. The Sheilas kicked me in the nuts. What was I supposed to do? But yeah, not to make too much light of a terrible situation. OP never deserved any of that. Gary is just a fuckwit. Gary needs to go take a long walk off a short pier and really think about what he's done and leave everyone else alone. His mum can come with him, that's for sure. Sorry that you got assaulted like that by Gary's mum, OP, but at least that led to the assault by Gary being taken seriously on you as well. There is some light at the end of that tunnel. And that leading to you getting a house deposit in this climate? We'll take the good with the bad. Absolutely we will. Thanks for the story, OP. I hope you're doing better now. Sorry you experienced that again, but life goes on, I guess. Am I the asshole for telling my husband that he works for himself, not for our family? My husband and I have known each other for 6 years and been married for almost 3 years now. We have a 1-year-old, and we're expecting another baby. Our marriage has been full of emotional highs, we love each other, and we let the other know regularly. My husband has a 9-to-5 job, after which he is also a tutor. He had started this back when we were in college, and it was never an issue. He always had enough time. Even in the years leading up to the marriage, and the first year of our marriage, this was never a big issue. However, in the last year or so, it's become a big issue, and it's getting worse. He keeps on adding more classes to his schedule. Until last month, we had a red line that there were no classes on Sunday. He would devote that entire time to us. But last month, he even added a class on Sunday on the excuse that exams are starting. It started to feel like me and my son weren't a priority to him anymore. Some days he comes home at 11, on other days he's doing it online, but that's not much better because he still can't give us any time. Last Sunday, I finally spoke out and told him that he was neglecting his family. He was offended and told me that he doesn't enjoy having to work so hard, but he's doing it for our family. This is where I told him that no, I think he does enjoy it. It gives him an excuse to not spend time with us, and that he was doing it for himself, not for us. As things currently stand, our collective income is more than enough. There really was no need for him to add more classes on top of his existing ones. He's doing it for himself at this point. He's literally busy Monday through Saturday, and now he's trying to cross the red line that was established for Sunday. We've been on bad terms since this fight. He keeps saying that he can't believe that I said he works for himself, not for us. Am I the asshole here? In the comments, it's going to be hard, and you're going to have to grit your teeth through it, but if he's working all the time to support his family, love the man and cherish the little time that you get with him. He's grinding to support y'all. Would you rather you spend all the time in the world together and living in squalor or on the streets? Please support him while he supports his family. Hell, have you told him that you're proud of him for working so hard? OP replies, I have a 9-to-5 job too, and like I said, our collective income covers our expenses and then some. If that weren't the case, of course I wouldn't be angry. I would understand, but given the situation, the fact that he took away the one day that we get together just because it's exam season really got to me. I also want to make clear that I absolutely appreciate how he provides for us to give us a great standard of living, and I've told him this many times. But now it feels like he's adding more work to disengage. Someone else asks, info, did he grow up on lower income? His father may have worked himself to the bone to keep them above water, so it may be all he knows. OP says, no, both his parents are doctors. That was certainly not the case. Info, I see where you're coming from, but I gotta ask, you sound like you feel secure about your financial situation, but does he? You're expecting another kid. You have a 1-year-old with another on the way. I don't know where you're based, but certain regions are more expensive than others for families to live in. Based on just that information alone, there could be plenty of thought put behind whether or not you guys have the financial stability for the future. You clearly think so, but does your husband? Have you ever had that conversation with him, fruitfully, honestly, about the objective truth of your financial stability and his and your thoughts on it? OP says, yes, we had that discussion before. We talked about how since we're already comfortable, there shouldn't be any need to have a class on Sunday. In fact, at the time, I also thought he should cut down on his existing classes, but relented on the Sunday agreement. I don't think that the numbers were important, but a lot of the comments, not you, seem to doubt that my judgment that we're stable. I'm an accountant who makes $70,000 a year. My husband is a software engineer who makes over $100,000. And based on how many students he teaches and how many classes he has, he makes over $100K from that. Our household income covers our expenses. I'm an accountant. This is kind of my bread and butter. For me, you being an accountant in this situation tells me all I need to know, like, you do objectively know the reality of your situation. There's no way that he can argue that with you, saying like, he doesn't believe that you're financially stable, because if he wants to make that argument, that says that he doesn't trust you. As you said, this is your bread and butter. This is literally your industry. This is what you were trained in. You know absolutely what your financial situation is. How does he not see that, and how does he not agree that you guys are doing okay and you can survive? To me, it just reads as though he doesn't trust you and there's something else going on that he is not telling you about. I'm not saying that that is cheating. I'm saying it sounds like you guys haven't talked enough about this situation together to really understand exactly where he's coming from and why he feels the way he feels. I think he is being disingenuous. And when you look at it from an outsider, seeing so many people that have strained relationships with their fathers who were just never there because they did like being at work all the time. They did not like being at home with their families. It's so easy to come to the conclusion that yes, he does actually enjoy spending as much time away as he can. You made an exception for the Sundays, even though you told him you would like more time as well as Sunday, and he is overstepping those boundaries. That is incredibly disrespectful on his part. If the trend continues, he's going to be an absent father, and he will know that. This is the hill to die on and be like, cut the bullshit, we are okay. I'm giving you an ultimatum. No more Sunday lessons. We agreed on that, and we're winding it back. This is ridiculous. I did not sign up for this. So yeah, absolutely not the asshole OP. And now, onto the update over 1 year ago. Thank you for the feedback in the last post. The comments said that me asking him to adhere to the boundaries we established was reasonable. Some comments also suggested that I shouldn't have implied that he works just to get away, so I was a little apologetic as well. After he came back, I decided to talk to him about this. The conversation was a bit of a train wreck. I brought up the fact that our income far exceeds our current and projected expenses, that me and our son were missing him and needed him to spend more time with us, and I made sure to stress that I appreciated all that he did. It just seemed like we were on completely different wavelengths. He said he kept on taking more lessons and students because he wanted us to have a good standard of living, have better vacations, better schools, a second house. I was dumbfounded. I never knew that he felt this way. I stressed our current standard of living was great. We do make enough money, and that if he thinks that way, then there is no end in sight. What if he decided that we should also have a third house or something? Right now, I needed him with me. At this point, I kind of lost control and started crying. I didn't mean to. It wasn't something that I wanted to do to pressure him or anything, just the fact that we were at an impasse was wrecking me. I told him that I had been feeling unhappy, that I kept compromising, and he reneged on it. After some more crying and consoling, my husband agreed that Sundays should have remained off limits. He gently asked me to give him a pass for one more Sunday because his students' exams end next week and he would make Sunday untouchable the following semester onwards. He also promised to try to resize his classes in order to be able to come back home for dinner, even if it's late dinner. He asked for time to do all this. I've given it to him, and I know that he loves us enough to do what he promised. Thanks for the feedback to the original post. In the comments, you need to tell him that he needs to get right with his family and you right now, or he might be living in that third house alone. Play him Cats in the Cradle as background music. OP says, I would like the changes to happen immediately, but I want those changes to be permanent. If he does something at a snap right now but has to go back, that would suck. So I'm just giving him the time to make those sustainable changes. I'm getting our Sunday back after the next one, which is progress. At least we're back to the red line. He said he'd already booked a lot of classes for the next semester, so he just asked for time to discuss and rearrange them since he can't just say no to his students after agreeing. He was earnest, and I believe that I made it known to him the toll that it's been taking on me, and he will make the necessary changes. OP, you did a good job and took an important first step. I think it would be unrealistic for him to do a complete 180 after this conversation, and this is a necessary stepping stone. I'm usually very negative about relationships, but it disheartened me to see all the top comments being so negative when you took the time to update us and you didn't need to. I hope things continue to improve for you. And OP says, thank you. I had thought that I did good, and then I found out a lot of people here disagreed, so I started doubting how I did. I appreciate what everyone is saying, but he's a loving husband, friend, and father. It's just one issue that's gotten out of hand. I can't think of packing my bags. I believe he was neglecting us, but during the conversation, realized he didn't know the extent to which it was affecting us. The classes issue has been getting bigger and bigger over time, so I realize fixing it will require some time. I'm just going to make sure that I see him do it. Have you guys been considering hiring a maid or nanny to help with household duties? If you were making enough money, it could be worth the investment to reduce your burden. And OP says, yeah, that came up in the conversation and I'm looking into it. My job is work from home 2 days of the week, so that helps. And my mum lives close by, which is super helpful too. Most days I manage the household and child rearing without any issues. Like, it's not like I plan to give him a list of errands to run on the days that he's in the house, but him just being physically present is something that I'm missing now, and he has promised to remedy it as well as he can. And a final commenter says, the biggest problem I see is that his self-worth is being validated by his students and classes, more than by his own family. He likes how teaching makes him feel, and he doesn't get the same validation from being just a husband and father, so he will continue to prefer working as much as he can. And it's a double whammy because he justifies the extra work is for his family, so he feels doubly validated for doing good things. OP replies, "Your comment stayed with me for some reason, and I kept coming back to it. I asked him yesterday if he enjoyed teaching physics and maths for hours on end, that he works so long, how does he not start hating it?" I didn't bring up the topic of reduced hours or Sunday because we already have an agreement on that for now. He said he does like it. After some more inconspicuous needling, he told me that he enjoys the fact that so many people trust that he can make them understand stuff and better their grades and futures. I didn't go further into it, but your comment really helped give me some insight. Thank you so much. And now, on to the final update. Around a year ago, I had been having issues with my husband regarding his tutoring schedule and had come here to know if I was in the wrong. A few people had asked me to let them know if things improve or continue to deteriorate. We're in a better place now. We've been blessed with a daughter now, too. He's become better at handling his workload and tutors primarily online now. I know I'd said at the time that that's not much better, but it really is. Sundays have become sacrosanct again, with very rare exceptions that he asks my approval for in advance, and Wednesdays are free now too. He does more group tutoring now and so gets done by 8:30 most days too. He also got a new day job, which is entirely work from home, which has made things much better because he isn't so burnt out anymore. In the weeks following up to my daughter's arrival, he had been by my side, especially since she arrived during the summer when school is out. I also took some advice from here and hired help to ease the burden, which has worked out really well. I've also learned to embrace the fact that his tutoring gives him joy, which maybe his software development job doesn't. He seems to be proud when his students get into good universities, and that it resulted in even more students. He still claims to do it for purely financial reasons, but I know that can't be completely true, because our financial needs really do not require it. So it must be something that he enjoys. So I've become more understanding on that front too. I have had to put my foot down a few times though, especially in the initial days following our conversation, to make sure that he understands that I was serious about needing his presence more. I had also confided in his older sister about this issue, which he was not happy about at the time, and probably an accidental asshole move on my end, but it helped. They had an argument. She straight up told him that he was either going to end up working his way into an early grave at the age of 30, or ending up divorced, which helped. Full disclosure, the only time we ever really argue is still about this when I'll want him to be free, but he won't be. But it's rare, and overall, we've come up with a good balance that seems to be working for us. Thank you. In the comments, I think my questions are, is he missing things? What do you need support with? What's the actual crux of the issue? I read your posts, and it speaks to a lot of how you feel, but, and apologies if I missed it in the comments, is he actually not pulling his weight at home? Is he missing important events? I agree that it's important to spend time together as a family unit, but usually when working on improving relationships, feedback needs to be specific and actionable. OP replies, "We don't get to have our evening tea where we used to decompress, except on Wednesdays and Sundays. I know that doesn't sound like much, but I really enjoy that, and I guess it's unfortunate that he's not missing that. Sometimes he'll miss dinner, but he really tries to avoid it, I know. As far as important events go, all of our friends and family know now that Saturdays don't work for us, so they avoid it if possible. But the other day, a family friend had a gender reveal party on Saturday, and my husband couldn't accompany me. Little things like that still happen. If I'm being honest, when my son was born, I had a picture in my mind of what our house would look like after 5 p.m. It involved my husband always being there and us having quality family time. The fact that that didn't happen is what my real issue is. I know life gets in the way, but I'm concerned about how we're developing our bonds as a family sometimes. As far as chores go, we've hired some help, and my mum being close really helps too, so that's not too big of an issue. This is so sad. Imagine having to go through all of this to force your spouse to spend time with you and your kid. It's sad that your idea of better is still him barely being around except for one full day a week. At the end of the day, if the choice was up to him, he would rather spend time tutoring than with you and his own child. That's because he's not doing it for money like he said, he's doing it so he doesn't have to be around you guys. It's so sad that you've accepted it. It sounds as if the situation is still sort of a work in progress, but is getting more positive for the both of you, and resentment isn't growing on either side. That's good, and congratulations on your daughter. I was impressed with OP's desire to understand her husband while maintaining boundaries around her and their family's needs. I worry about the husband though. Whether he intends it or not, it comes across like he cares less about his own children and wife than he does his students. I hope that changes for all their sakes. I can't imagine wanting to spend less time with my child. I used to be a workaholic, but the second I held my newborn, I slowed down my career in order to work from home and be with him all the time. My husband did the same. We now have an incentive to spend more time together and not less. The husband was raised by 2 doctors, so he probably grew up not a priority. I married an MD, and the parenting I've seen from his co-workers over the years is appalling. I know a surgeon that gave her kids 1 hour playing video games with mum coupons for Christmas. She bragged about it because quality time is what the kids really crave. It was hard watching a smart person get it, but yet not get it at the same time. As a dad, I'm 100% sure that OP's husband will have major regrets in the future. My sons are 12 and 13, and I had a much more demanding job with longer hours. At minimum, I had to work 2 weekends per month, sometimes 3, and I would often come home late at night, when they were babies. Don't get me wrong, I spent almost all of my waking and non-work hours with them, and we have a strong bond today, but I would give almost anything to be able to travel back in time and spend more time with them when they were little. Sometimes I feel a pang in my heart when I see their baby pictures and videos. I wish I could talk to and maybe knock some sense into OP's husband. I'm still unhappy with how this situation has unfolded. Yes, you get the Wednesday and Sundays, but you can see she's embarrassed about the Saturday thing, about not being able to have her husband show up with her to a gender reveal party. Sure, he does the day job for his family, but he's still tutoring. He still does that for himself. He can deny it all he wants, but his actions speak incredibly loud here. And that's all he does. He works his day job, he does his hobby, and what little extra time he has to be gut-wrenchingly pulled out of these things to be forced to be present with his family. He doesn't do it because he wants to. It genuinely doesn't sound like OP herself gets any time for her own hobbies. When does she get time for her friends? And he only really changed his tune when his sister pulled him out, yelled at him, smacked his ass, and said, "Are you trying to die by 30, or do you want a divorce to happen?" And he's like, "Grr, you're pissing me off with the truth." Was that argument the only reason that he changed at all? Is that why he decided to give you Wednesdays as well? What would have happened if his sister didn't have that argument with him? I'm willing to bet he wouldn't have changed. And OP, you say, I was an accidental asshole for confiding in his older sister about it. Of course he's not going to be happy about it because it's embarrassing for him. But he deserves to be embarrassed when he's neglecting his family and he's deeply hurting you and the children. Don't call yourself an asshole for standing up for yourself, seeking guidance from those that understand and can help you. Genuinely, please don't be ashamed about that. You did the right thing for yourself and for your children. If it takes this much leverage to force someone to change when they so obviously do not want to change and they love the way that their life is set up, really makes me question the integrity of your marriage with this man. How much effort have you got left in the tank to continue to force this guy to see what he is doing wrong? I don't know. That's just my outside perspective. Always welcome to be challenged in the comments, but, this is an incredibly sad situation to me. Thank you for the story, OP. I still think you're not the asshole. And, I hope you come back with the final update, after the final update, saying that things are getting better. My wife, together for 12 years, married 7, is leaving me for someone she has known for 3 months. A slight preface. My wife and her brother were very close when young. He got very into alcohol, went to prison for 10 years, went immediately back to drinking, and then died in front of her. My wife, 30, and I, 33, started going to the gym together. We were loving the results of the fitness. It made sex even better, and we couldn't keep our hands off each other. We felt as happy and as close as ever. 3 weeks after her brother died, this guy chats her up at the gym, and she immediately clicks with him. I was wary, but I trusted my wife. She's a sweetheart, and I never imagined her having the ability to have an affair. Last weekend, we had one of the most romantic days and evenings that we've had in a while. This week, she decides that she cannot go on without finding out why she developed such a quick connection with this guy. We own a house and 3 pets. Her family and everyone we know are devastated and blown away, but she is dead serious. The woman that I knew last month, last week even, has left the building. This is a living nightmare that I just want to wake up from. We did couples counseling 3 times and have one scheduled on Wednesday, but she's completely made up her mind and seems to have rapidly fallen out of love with me. My life as I had known it is over. I just needed to get this off my chest. In the comments, Joey133 says, "Nothing will soothe your pain right now, but I want to say this anyway. I was with my wife for 20 years, 2 kids. She slowly developed a drinking problem, and it eventually, as I predicted for years, destroyed our marriage. Even now, 2.5 years later, I can't believe that my life turned out this way, but I met someone new that I love and am very happy. Your life feels like it's over, but it's not. You will bounce back. You got this." Oh boy, this is going to be a rough road ahead. She's looking for an escape, and this guy is going to give her one. She doesn't like him. She likes the escape. She'll 100% be back, but only you will know if it's too late. That's exactly it. She's not looking to cheat. She's looking to get away from that trauma and grief. Run away and not deal with it. Let her go. My ex did something similar to me. His best friend died, and within a month or so, he has hooked up with some chick that he met online and left. I was blindsided, but I let it go, even though I was heartbroken and divorced and moved on. He tried to come back a year or so later, and we briefly reconnected, but it wasn't the same, and the trust was gone. There's a lot more to the story, of course, but that's the gist of it. He had a series of traumatic events, one after the other, and just broke and wanted to become someone else, I guess. I've been married to my husband now for going on 11 years, and up until 3 years ago, when I blocked him on everything, I would still get random messages from him apologizing or telling me how I'm his soulmate. You're better off without her. Like I said a few episodes ago, limerence comes to mind here. And it's understandable that she craves an escape, that she craves something to get her mind off of the death of her brother. I understand needing an out, but this is not it. And chasing limerence, chasing that new relationship energy, not the answer, but it happens. And it happens more often than you'd like. I think you're wasting your time going to a counseling session with her. I think it'd be better spent going to a divorce lawyer. The trust is gone. 10 years is down the drain. She wasted it and she does not deserve another chance. Go find someone that will value you and your time, OP. She will come crawling back. She will need to be blocked in the future. This is no longer your circus. This should no longer be your monkey. And now, onto the update, 8 months later. I had a kind Redditor reach out to me over the weekend, asking how I was doing regarding the above situation. The original post got a lot of attention, so I figured I would give an update. My wife filed for divorce a month after moving out. During this time, I did the whole online dating thing, which was way worse than I could have ever expected. I kept myself busy working out, building my own confidence, hanging out with friends. In general, it was horrible, but I was trying to keep my head up. I was in therapy. I didn't jive with my first therapist, and I found a new one in December who I liked a lot more, and am still seeing her. Mid-December, my wife calls me, crying, asking if she can stay in the guest bedroom because she has nowhere to go. I say yes, even though she hurt me so badly, I did still love her. So things with the guy at the gym turned very toxic very fast. I know the word narcissist gets thrown around a lot these days, but this guy though. It's hard to believe these subhuman pieces of trash actually exist. So she stays in the guest bedroom for a week and then goes and stays at her parents' for a month. She had a nervous breakdown and was able to get a medical leave of absence from her work. Mid-January comes around and she's back at the house, but still in a very frantic and erratic state, sort of like she was withdrawing off hard drugs. I had no idea about the addictive nature of toxic relationships. It's a psychological clusterfuck. She is clear that she is too fucked up in the head to be in a relationship and is going to work on herself. I give her the time and space that she requested. She goes all in on learning about the psychology of all this shit. Inner child work, how the nervous system reacts and attracts you to toxic people if you grew up in a toxic household. Anxious and avoidant attachment styles. There's this book called How to Stay Married, where the wife had an affair, and it turns out the root of the issue was her unresolved childhood trauma. Long story short, same thing happened here. It hurts, but I can forgive her. She's my best friend, and we are insanely compatible in a lot of ways. She's really been returning to herself the past month. She is the happiest that I've seen her in at least a year, and last week, we filed the paperwork to dismiss the divorce. We're both in individual counseling, and soon to start couples therapy. I'm sure a lot of people will think that I'm making a mistake in reconciling, but I'm happy. I do trust that she now has the knowledge to not let this happen again, and she has the drive to be the best person that she can be. Edit. I'm reading all the comments and taking everything to heart, even and especially the ones calling me stupid, chump, doormat. I completely understand where you're coming from. I just don't have the time or desire to respond to so much. I want things to work out, and I do trust my gut that this was a one-time thing. I'll post an update and take all of the I told you so if it comes to that. In the comments, good luck. I couldn't, but I'm glad that you are. I have a feeling that she only came back because her new love didn't work out. I mean, she did drop you like a bad habit. Hopefully she is genuinely sorry for what she's done, but it will always be in the back of your mind. She's reading books on how women manipulated their husbands into forgiving their cheating, and he thinks that it's some big psychological breakthrough that absolves her from being a horrible person. One piece of advice: get a postnuptial agreement. Reconciliation can work, but also can fail years down the road. You're better off protecting yourself while you're both still willing to work on this. And it doesn't have to be anything horribly one-sided, but there should be clauses against what is essentially abandonment, like she did before, and infidelity. Obviously, any clause that applies to her would apply to you, so it's fair, quote-unquote. And no, it doesn't matter what either of your intentions are now, this is future protection for the unknown. Just like you never could have known about the gym guy. Definitely this. What happens when the gym boy starts contacting her saying that he has changed and he can't live without her? Hopefully she tells him to fuck off, but just as likely she goes right back to the fire. I hope it works out for him. Or just the next guy that turns her head. So much truth in so little words. She literally banged and left the family for slight attention from a random guy. This guy is such a sad sack of delusion. I wonder how long before she convinces him of an open marriage for some reasons that make her gaslighting work pay off. A gym rat of all clowns in lowlifes. When it comes to situations, it's not the infidelity or even the sex that gets me, it's the fact that a significant other could be so incredibly stupid and selfish and such a shitty person with their low self-esteem, low self-worth, low confidence, that they need to feel validated or wanted by others, have a complete lack of empathy, and worst of, have such short-sighted and terrible judgment that they don't even factor what sort of a complete lowlife an affair partner has to be, that this piece of shit that they're infatuated with is willing to cheat with and break up a marriage. Granted, if someone cheated on me, I would go scorched earth on the affair partner. To each their own, of course, but this is a terrible move by the OP. And Lamb Bam Ham says, I exist because my dad stuck it out when my mum went through something similar, and they both worked on themselves a lot. They are still happily married 40 years later. There can be some crazy ups and some horrific downs in marriage, but if both people are willing to put in the work, you'll be okay. So, I got cheated on recently too. I've been doing reading about how reconciliation works, and there's one thing I'd like to ask you about yourself here. Did she witness your pain? Has she seen and acknowledged how much pain her cheating put on you, and that it is her fault? Has she even faced your pain? Cheaters are very likely to cheat again, but especially if they don't have empathy for what their actions put you through. Another concern is that this doesn't fit the pattern of reconciliation. She hasn't come to you because of guilt and realization of what she's done, seeking to win you back and save your marriage. She's come to you because she had nowhere to go because her affair relationship failed. Ask yourself again, if she hadn't left to be with her new man, would you even know that he and her were having a connection like that? Would she be compelled to tell you the truth of her own volition? It's great that she's working on figuring out why she did something like that, but please don't just give her a pass. You are happily acting like Mr. Fallback here, and you're going to get treated like it if you don't course correct. I say to you, OP, for every majestic, happy story that there is 10 or more failed stories of people getting back with their ex that has cheated on them. Like I said in a previous video, how often do you hear people regretting not getting back with their cheating ex? Like, let's be real. How many people actually regret that? I think you're making a bad choice here. I really don't care how compatible you two are as people. She betrayed you. She broke that trust. It's not worth going back to. You're going to get burnt again, and you only have yourself to blame for that. Like that commenter said, did she even recognize the pain that she put you through? Did she see it from your perspective? Or did you kind of just gloss over all of that and never have those conversations with her? Because that's what it sounds like to me. And if that's the case, you will get hurt again. It's not an if, it's a will. And now, onto the new update, 4 months later, titled, My Wife Cheated. We tried to rekindle, but she says we can't because sex with the other guy was too mind-blowing. Go ahead if you want to read my post and comment history about the shit show that my life has been the last 365 days. My self-esteem is re-shattered, and I really don't know what to think. My wife and I were together for 12 years, and I thought that we had a great sex life. 3 to 4 times a week, felt very passionate. She always talked about how good I was at pleasing her, and she always came. She left me for someone that she knew for 90 days, and they lasted 5 months. I tried to salvage a relationship of 12 years. Things were decent, but the passion was gone, and she was clearly hung up on the fact that her knight in shining armor wasn't who she thought. It was making me hate myself staying with her, so I finally left. Today, she told me that the main reason we were not able to rekindle things is that the sex with the other guy was so mind-blowing that she can't be in a romantic relationship that doesn't have that level of sexual intensity. I don't know how I'm supposed to process this. In the comments, Different Management says, She sounds rather cruel and kind of stupid. I bet your life is going to be better off without her in it. Your wife chose fantasy sex over 12 years of commitment, memories, and building a life with you. That is self-absorbed. The fact that she gives you the details too is really low. She could have just said that she wasn't happy and ended it. Time to find yourself again and think about what you want. And here's deleted comments from OP. That's the truth. I wish I had accepted that 7 months ago. Our divorce was 12 days away before she dismissed it. Now we gotta go through it again. Live and learn. I wish that were true. I'm leaving because of her hitting me below the belt. Last week I wanted to reconcile, try and save what was once a loving and secure relationship. Her telling me that shit was the final nail in the coffin. One last kick in the balls to conclude a year of pain and heartbreak. I will be okay though. Yep, got that right. Also, just started making six figures in a low cost of living area, in addition to selling a house that is nearly paid off. Fitness is my main priority right now. Overall, I'm not too worried. I'm ready to move on. I just feel stupid. Not divorced yet. It's been a long time coming, but this shit just went down 2 weeks ago. Our finances have been separated for a while now. She's broke and I have like $150K in a 401k and savings. My sister's a lawyer, not a divorce lawyer, but she says that I should do it without a lawyer. I'm doing the paperwork right now. Soon-to-be ex-wife isn't mad at me or anything. She does feel bad and knows she's the piece of shit in this situation. So she is being civil. We've agreed to sell the house, split the profit, and that will be that. She will leave my retirement account alone. Appreciate the advice. That is sound wisdom. I hike a lot, hit the gym 5 to 6 days a week, have been for 2 years. I'm a novice at guitar, and this seems like a perfect opportunity to really get good. Would love to be in a band. We'll have to think about the combat sports. I do kickboxing workouts for cardio, and do enjoy those. Yep, no doubt, divorce has been filed. And a small final update 7 months later, OP replies to a post titled, "I'm genuinely curious as a similar question was asked earlier this week, but how many of us are still virgins?" I Fart on Cats for Fun says, raises hand. Just got divorced after 14 years with my college sweetheart, currently sleeping with 5 women. OP replies, I'm getting divorced after 12 years with college sweetheart. Please teach me your ways. And a comment deleted by user, OP replies, Hey, thank you for checking in. All things considered, I'm doing alright. We closed on the sale of the house that we owned last week and got a good profit out of that. Now just waiting for the divorce to finalize. I'm staying active at the gym, busy with work, going to yoga classes, joined a hiking group. It's still a big change though. Most days are okay, and I feel like I've made a lot of progress in healing. Some days the reality of being alone and not knowing if I'll ever find love again hits me hard. I've never really dated, and I'm finding it to be an exhausting experience. Mythrain says, I'm sure this was said to OP, but the mind-blowing sex part? Yeah, that's just the new thing, Rush, and that's it. The guy could absolutely be great, but what made it better was the newness of it all. Also, the extra brain chemicals from grief banging added in. And the drugs. I feel bad for OP. Should have never taken her back. Check the infidelity subreddits. It's riddled with them like they think that something is going to change. In my opinion, they believe that their love will conquer any shortcomings, and the wayward will realize their mistake, and things will magically go back to as they were before the infidelity. We can speculate all we want about it, but at the end of the day, I'm always going to advocate for not getting back with the one that had cheated on you. I don't think it's ever a good idea, and I think you're more likely to fail than you are to win. Just like me last night when I played an ace-jack all-in and they flopped a queen pair and I didn't hit the ace. Sometimes we make gambles thinking that we have the best shot and it just doesn't work. Sounds to me like this guy flopped a 2-3 offsuit against an ace pair and didn't go well for him personally. Thanks for the story, OP. Thank you for the warning not to do what you did for everyone else. I hope you learn from this. I hope you get better and you find someone that, loves you for you and will not do this to you ever. Our next post is by user Big Goofy Doofus, titled, Lying to my wife and daughters about flowers. This is so stupid. Married 20 years, 2 kids, 7 and 2. Early in my relationship, my wife, then girlfriend, would ask for flowers or things like that for whatever reason women want things like that from their boyfriend. Me, being a broke college kid that came from near poverty, I had a hard time spending money on something that wouldn't last. So we fought over it until a balance was reached. I would buy flowers for her. When we got married, for the first year, I would buy her a small gift every month on the 10th. Our anniversary is June 10. It was a way to tell her how much I loved her, especially since that first year was so very hard for us. I got used to buying flowers or other little trinkets. Some were dumb, some she still has. Even now, if I give her something for no reason, I try to do it on the 10th. Well, fast forward some years, and I give my then 3-year-old flowers, and she now thinks that any I bring in are for her. Here's the problem. I brought some flowers home last weekend when I went grocery shopping. If anyone can tell me why grocery store flowers last longer than the ones from a specialty florist, I would be grateful. My wife immediately said thank you for my flowers. It was the 7th. The girls, when they saw them, thought the flowers were for them. The truth is, over all this time, I've started really liking having the splash of color in the house. I really bought them for myself, and even if neither my wife or my daughters were around, I would still buy myself flowers. Anyway, am I wrong for not coming clean about why I buy the flowers? In the comments, Zimegochi says, "You're entitled to have your own motivations. What matters is your actions, and your actions make your family happy." Yup, no harm done if everyone's happy. Enjoy your flowers. I think one day you should buy some flowers and divide them up between everyone. Maybe wait until your daughter is a little older. I think there are some really important life decisions in your story for your daughter to learn. Your daughter can learn the importance of budgeting and how when you don't have a lot, you need to spend on what's important. Your daughter can also learn that men can like flowers. Yep, I think it'll be a perfect time to talk with the wife about sharing gifts together. You buy her flowers and random stuff, she buys you random stuff. Hopefully she already does that, but this time she can include flowers. But now, she gets to make a mummy-daughter date where they have fun, and on the way back, bring something special to the man in their life. Flowers, a random drink you like, etc. Not a man, so I don't want to speak for them, but I think it'll be nice for the future generations to do a little surprise because I love you, I appreciate you, I'm thankful that you're in my life, etc. gifts to and for each other. I like those comments. I agree with that. I think there are many lessons that can be learned here, and it's good to show, stable, happy examples of relationships to your children. And I also don't think it's wrong for not coming clean about why you buy the flowers. I think you have perfectly understandable reasons, and I think you can eventually come clean about why you buy them, but you can do it in a more fun and creative way, like the comments have mentioned. Because if everyone's happy and there's no harm done, I see nothing wrong with the situation as is. And now, onto the update 4 days later. Probably could have added this to the other post, but didn't try. Y'all, she found the post. Well, she didn't find it, her friend did. I put a little too much personal info in it, and a friend of mine that we've had since college figured it out and showed wifey. So hi Becca, thanks for ratting me out. She was not amused that I told complete strangers about us, but at the same time, found the whole thing hilarious. Weird, right? Anyway, after she could get her laughter under control, she admitted that she knows, she always has known. Wifey told me that around our 3rd year of marriage, she realized that she likes the knickknacks that I would get her more than the flowers, but realized that I like them, so has just gone along with it because it made me happy. I really love this woman. Also, for those saying that I'm doing a horrible job raising my kid, that she's spoiled, or going to turn out rotten or something, stop it. Get some help. I would put a link to the meme, but I don't want to. And for those that complained that this was pointless, or unnecessary, or whatever, you're right, it was. I literally put that the whole thing is stupid in the first sentence, but there is a lot of bad going on in the news right now, and many people on the sub spend a lot of time doom scrolling or train wreck watching, and I just wanted to put into the world something innocent and nice, and maybe not so dark. Am I wrong about that? In the comments, Time Anything says, "Not the people calling a 3-year-old entitled." Like, have they ever met a toddler? Their favorite words are no and mine, and do it myself. And don't forget why. So many years later, and I still hate that word. He's so right about supermarket flowers. I told my husband early in our marriage to never get me flowers from the florist, but to go to the grocery if he wants to get me some. This Valentine's bouquet lasted 3 weeks. I have the same wisdom about potted plants. Give me an orchid from Aldi or the €1 store, and it will flourish. Give me one from the nursery, and it will die. They're just too pampered. Aw, OP reminds me of my own dad. He always was great about ordering my mum/his mother and my aunts flowers for every special occasion or just because throughout my childhood. But now that his children are all grown up, we get them for him because he gets so excited about it. I love buying my wife flowers for the simple reason that it's an easy way to make her happy. Being married has taught me the more easy ways I can make her happy for little to no cost means there is less pressure when I have a hard time making time for her or something more meaningful. Thank you for the wholesome story, OP. I will not end the episode by saying, get out of here with your disgusting happiness. We don't need it, because I love it. That was a great palate cleanser after the last story. Oh my god. Sorely needed. That was beautiful. Thank you for being an amazing parent to your daughters. It's interesting that your wife did figure it out and she didn't say anything about it for your own, reasons. Nothing wrong with that at all. It can be like a I just got called out kind of moment. But at the same time, who cares? She loves me, I love her. It's a fun little tradition and we're both happy. So again, no harm, no foul. Keep doing you, keep being awesome. Thank you for the story. Am I the asshole for not taking down an X-rated book when my ex's girlfriend asked me to? Last year, I, 24 female, wrote an erotic novel to make some money on the side. It ended up picking up some traction and makes a fair amount of sales every month. I'm not living off the income, but it helps pay some bills every month while I'm getting my master's. A lot of the book was inspired by my boyfriend at the time. He knew that I was writing it, and it was often a joke between us that he had to give me more to write about. He read the book before I self-published it and gave it his seal of approval. I wouldn't have published it if he had been uncomfortable. The character doesn't resemble him in personality or appearance, and there are no hints that would give away who my inspiration was. I wrote under a fake name too, so it's unlikely to be traced back to him at all. We broke up 6 months ago, but we keep in touch. We've been friends for a while, and the split was mutual, so there's no hard feelings. I knew that he had started seeing someone over the summer, and I guess he told her about the book, because she approached me at the library yesterday and asked me to take the book down. She said that it makes her uncomfortable knowing that people can read details about our sex life. I asked her if my ex was uncomfortable with it, and she said he was. I told her I would take it down. That night, I texted my ex and told him that I was sorry the book made him uncomfortable and that I would take it down as soon as I could. He had no idea what I was talking about. He said that it didn't make him uncomfortable and that I didn't need to take it down. He cracked some jokes about how he was glad I was still profiting off of his hard work. When I told him that his new girlfriend had approached me, he said that she did think it was weird, but it wasn't her call. Today, I was eating lunch and the girl came up to me again. She started saying that I was disrespectful for going behind her back to talk to her boyfriend. Side note, I talk to my ex semi-frequently anyways, and that I was disgusting for ever publishing the book. She also said that it was gross I was involving other people in my exhibitionist kink unwillingly. I let her talk for a bit and then told her that she was overreacting. I said I did it to make money, not because I derived pleasure from it, and that the book's publication is between me and my ex. It doesn't involve her. She called me a bitch and stormed off. I know it's kinda weird to have a book out there with details about me and my ex's sex life, but I really don't want to take it down because it's a good source of income. Am I the asshole? In the comments, Funky Orange Penguin says, involving people in my exhibitionist kink unwillingly. Seeking erotic novels out and paying for them is hardly unwilling. She's the one going around her boyfriend's back in order to get her way. Let those kinky dollars roll in. Yeah, OP is the asshole for going to a friend about the issue involving her friend, but the girlfriend is not the asshole for going behind his back and approaching OP? That's some fancy mental gymnastics. Yeah, I get the feeling this woman is weaponizing language that she picked up elsewhere. It all sounds so desperate. Oh no, I accidentally read an erotic book from cover to cover. Who clicked that buy button on the website and left it open for me to read? My eyes accidentally fell on each page as I turned them, slowly trying to desperately close the book one page at a time. A truly torturous experience. Not the asshole. The only people who could reasonably object to depictions in the book would be the people loosely depicted. You and your ex. His girlfriend knows this, or she wouldn't have lied to you about his feelings on it. If he's cool with it and you're cool with it, then tell her to go pound sand. It sounds like your book will be making money long after she's past the point of relevancy anyway. She can call you a bitch and storm off all she wants, but if he never told her about the fact that you had a novel that did not even depict any personal details at all and had no connection to you because it was written under a fake name, this never would have been a problem. It's just jealousy on her part. I get where you're coming from, where you say it's kind of weird to have a book out there with the details of you and your ex's sex life. But in all reality, only you and your ex know that. No one else in this world knows that. Her being insecure about that is her problem, because it's never going to affect her. It's never going to have any real impact besides her feelings being hurt, her being jealous that you're making money off of something like that. So no, you're not an asshole, and she's wrong for what she's done. Ignore her. Back up to the post, we have an edit. Hey guys, it's been a doozy of a day. First, thank you everyone for the replies. I made the post when I was questioning my sanity over the situation, and your comments brought me back down to earth. Some answers to questions. I don't know why he told her about the book. Since the post, I've told him that it's something that I would like to keep between the two of us. I feel like if anyone in my master's program finds out, I'll be taken much less seriously. If you're interested in self-publishing, try Amazon and do some reading about keywords. There are tons of blogs on it. I won't be giving out the name of the book, as it gets very, very kinky, and this post has gotten a lot of views. I fear someone finding the story on other websites, on the off chance that I made it, hi TikTok, and making the connection, especially considering I don't know who else my ex has told. I have no idea how this girl keeps finding me. I'm on campus every time, so I assume that it's just by chance, as she's in a master's program as well. And now, onto the final update, posted 3 days later. So shortly after I made the post, I got on Amazon to look at my book and noticed that I'd got an influx of bad reviews. I checked the reviews and found some buzzwords that my ex's girlfriend had used. Thankfully, I'm fairly certain that I can get these removed. I'm also concerned because Amazon takes a few days to process reviews, so I don't know how many more will be coming. I decided to call my ex and let him know what was happening. I told him about his girlfriend confronting me, calling me a bitch, how she initially lied to me about his feelings, and now the bad reviews. He was floored. I don't think he had seen that side of her personality. My ex is an all-around great guy, and he was very apologetic. He said he would talk to her about it. He said he didn't tell her the name of the book, but he did have it on his Kindle, so she must have snooped and found it. This morning, I was getting a coffee in the student center, and the girl walked up to me and started screaming at me. Apparently, she and my ex broke up and she blamed it on me. I didn't know what to do, so I just took off walking to my car. She started calling me a slut and a whore and a pervert, and trust me, nothing in the book is that bad, especially if you like erotica already. She followed me out the building, but thankfully stopped chasing me once I hit the parking lot. I was shaking, and I called my ex again. He ended up coming to sit in the car with me until I calmed down. We considered calling the campus police, but I didn't want to explain it to them, so he walked me back inside. She was there, but when she saw my ex with me, she didn't yell. She burst into tears and said she knew he was cheating. He told her to leave me alone. He hadn't cheated, factual, and that he broke up with her because she was too jealous and immature. She seemed flummoxed and left. Ex bought me a coffee, and we discussed filing a police report if she approaches me again. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I hope. Definitely feels like sequel material, although I'm a bit lacking in the physical inspiration part these days. In the comments, Smart Quokka says, I'd get the campus police involved at minimum. Also, she will likely tell the administration to try and get OP booted from the program. I'd have preempted that as well. Yeah, I'd be worried about that too. She seems vindictive and needs to be curtailed and see some consequences for those actions. She definitely has a pattern of manipulation. It's concerning how she treated OP and her ex. Using them to justify waging a war against perceived injustices is wild. If she had that much of an issue with it, then she should have just ended the relationship with her ex when he said that he wasn't uncomfortable with it and would not be asking OP to remove it. I don't know how she thought all these insane maneuvers would pan out, because the second she started trying to force OP's hand, she was dooming the relationship. She's not mature enough to realize this, and it's exactly why she was dumped, like the last week's leftovers. Maybe she read the book and realized the sex she was having with him wasn't up to his past standard. And yeah, immediately makes it someone else's problem. What a stand-up human being she is. Guys, just a reminder, you don't give up on things you want just because they're obviously not right for you. You gotta take a page out of her book and just start mistreating everyone until things turn out your way. Or just get hysterically upset and blame it on others if it doesn't go your way. Look how well that went for her. Wasn't that fantastic? But in all seriousness, I do hope that the campus police can do something about this, if at all. I really don't think they can. Maybe a restraining order is the most you could do. But yeah, the ex sounds like a good guy. He stood up for OP, knowing that she did nothing wrong, and his new girlfriend turned out to be a psycho. Isn't it crazy when the mask slips? Anyway, thank you for the story, OP. I hope you keep writing some good erotica, and good luck with the masters. Thank you. Our next post is by user Relationships Are Trash, titled, Me, 26 female, with my best friend, 27 female. I just got engaged and wanted to share the news, and all she said was, relationships are trash. To be honest, I'm kinda done with this relationship, but wanted to check if I'm out of line first. I've been friends with Laura for 15 years now. We went to high school, college together, and now live in the same city, though in different parts. Basically, we were single for a while together, but after about a year of working my new job here, I met a boy and we fell in love. Yesterday, after 3 years of dating, he asked me to marry him. I was so excited, and so of course I went to tell Laura right away, and so I texted her a picture of my hand with the ring, and she sent back, "That's cool. Relationships are trash." Oh, shit. Oh my god. What is her problem? Jesus Christ. I was a bit taken aback, to be honest. She can definitely be rude, especially when someone else shares news that she doesn't have, like when I got my job that she was still unemployed and told me that my job was a crappy temp one anyway. It wasn't temp at all. But when she got her job, we had to have a big party to celebrate the start of her career. Anyway, I'm thinking of sorta ghosting her after this. I don't have very many friends, so for my best friend to kinda crap on a special day made me really angry and sad. In the comments, Stuck Hands says, when she asks why she's not in the wedding party, that's cool. Friendships are trash. OP says, lol, that's cold. I like it. I'm Stealing the Towel says, wow, with friends like Laura, who needs enemies? She's clearly peanut butter and jealous of your life accomplishments, viewing them as attempts to one-up her instead of opportunities to celebrate you. I think unless you're happy for your friendship to be a competition forever, you're better off without her. Fading out is the best and most mature thing to do, though the petty side of me would be tempted to text back with, and this is why you're still single and miserable. Do not contact me again, and then block from everything. OP says, I like that too. I really wanted to say something nasty back, but resisted it. You're totally right. I'm just going to fade out now. It sucks, because she was my only real friend, but I'm better off without her, probably. I'm Stealing the Towels replies, once you've removed yourself from Laura, take another look at your other friendships. I think you'll find that you have far more real friends than you first thought. And OP says, you're very sweet, but I'm not kidding. I don't have any friends. Probably why I've kept her around for so long. Time to find a way to make some new ones then. Thank you for your kind advice. The petty and snarky side of me wants to send, just as much energy her way as she sent OP. I fully understand the pick your battles mentality, but this is a battle I want to fight. I would definitely be sending that, and this is why you're still single and miserable, do not contact me again, and then blocking her. I genuinely feel like she deserves it. It's a low-stakes drama situation. It's not gonna come back to haunt me, touch wood. But I'm glad that OP is more mature than me, that's for sure. She deserves an amazing marriage going forward. She deserves better friends. She doesn't deserve a energy vampire leech like this quote-unquote best friend was. What a piece of shit. And now, onto the update, 15 days later. It's been a few days since I posted here for advice, and wanted to give y'all a follow-up since I got so many kind comments, and a few shitty ones. People can be mean. Anyway, a few of you gave me the courage to follow through with my decision to stop being friends with Laura. I didn't reply to her after she sent the original "relationships are trash" message for 2 reasons. 1, I was busy having fun with my new fiancé. I love saying that. And 2, I wanted to see if she would apologize. Surprise, surprise, she texted me like 3 days later, asking if I wanted to go dancing, and I just wrote back, nah. She then sent me a long message about how hard it was to be my friend, since I never wanted to do anything with her anymore because I was too busy with my shitty boyfriend. That was pretty much the last straw, and I'll admit it, I was petty, yes, and wrote back, that's cool, your friendship is trash. Thanks, Stuck Hands, for the suggestion. It felt great. After I posted here last time, I did a lot of thinking and realized that I was the one who was actually looking out for us and trying to make the friendship work, and Laura just used me to talk about herself and make herself feel great at the expense of other people. I'll be honest, I cried a lot after that because, like I said, I don't have a lot of friends, and it hurt to realize that my best friend didn't really care about me. But with the comments here and the help of my lovely Brian, I realized I wasn't doing enough to love myself or allow myself to grow. So I signed up for some yoga classes and hope to meet some new friends there. And I've also decided to go to more of the events in our community to hopefully meet cool neighbors. Thanks for giving me the courage to love myself, y'all. In the comments, Stuck Hands says, glad I could help. Enjoy the wedding and marriage. OP says, thank you for the advice. I think you were the first person to comment on my post, and when I saw that first reaction, I was like, wow, that's harsh. But then a bunch of other people chimed in on how I was justified in feeling like crap, and so I thought that if I could use that line, I would. I never wanted to be the kind of person to hurt someone else on purpose, but it definitely helped get something off my chest to use her own words against her. Mr. Dirty Vegas says, has she said anything since you basically called her trash? OP replies, she sent back something like, wow, how could you say that to me? And I said, I've been asking myself that question for a long time. She's reached out a few times with hey, but I really don't want to ever see her again. I realized how awful she made me feel and how petty she could be, and I decided that it wasn't worth saving the relationship. Like seriously. She took a dump on my happy day and then asked to go to dancing a couple of days later like nothing had happened. She never looks at her own actions, and I was tired of making excuses for her to myself and to my fiancé. Gwynasson says, I thank all the gods in the universe every day that I do not live with such exhaustingly petty and shitty friends as this. Right? Even the more exhausting people in my life are pretty tame in comparison. Honestly, not even sure where I'd find pieces of shit like that to befriend. Lol. Gotta love that Laura still keeps reaching out to OP like she still wants to be her friend when she basically told her to suck it. These sorts of people only keep their meek friends around to shit on them so they can feel better about themselves. Laura isn't smart enough to realize that things aren't going to go back to the way they were. She reminds me of a girl I knew who never had any women friends. That woman, like Laura, didn't realize she was the cause. Who here is gonna put money on the fact that Laura was the reason that she wasn't actually making other friends? I bet Laura was poisoning the well somehow, and, Laura was very happy doing what she's doing. And now, like an abusive ex-boyfriend, she's starting to lash out and be like, oh, how dare you leave this really beneficial friendship? Again, toxic friendships, I feel, don't get treated seriously enough like toxic relationships do. And examples like this are perfect in showing just how bad it can get. Thank you for doing the right thing for yourself, OP, in clapping back at her because she deserved that. Oh, thank God you did that. Absolute vindication right here. She is so insane to have the audacity to be offended like that. Shut up, Laura. Get out of my life. Thank you for the story, OP. I love that. Our next post is by user My Achy Breaky Back, titled, I Met Him. I've always loved reading I Met Someone posts on here, and for the past couple of weeks, it's been in the back of my mind that maybe it's time to post my own. We matched on Bumble on a Friday night. We had a nice conversation via text, and when I hinted that I didn't have any Saturday night plans other than homework and asked if he had anything hot going on that night, he took the hint and asked me out for drinks. We talked and laughed for hours, closed down the brewery, and stood an hour in the cold at our cars talking before going home. I paid for our drinks, and when he protested, I told him he could pay for them on the next date, which we set for the next night, Sunday. After we ordered our drinks on Sunday, he pulled cleaning cloths for my glasses out of his pocket and said that he'd brought them for me because I'd mentioned how annoying it is to smudge my glasses the night before. I knew then that this was going to be something lasting and good. The next few dates spread out over that week only confirmed it. Instead of seeing red flags and feeling like I needed to protect myself and keep my distance, all I saw were green flags. We opened up to each other and shared a lot of things that were really hard for us, but that we felt were potential deal breakers and wanted each other to know about. A month later, we're still spending every spare moment together. He is still wonderful. I spent the first 2 weeks being completely flabbergasted at every act of kindness or evidence that he had been considerate of my feelings and desires, because I've been treated like shit by so many people I've met on online dating. It's still amazing to me how easy it feels to be around him. He's lovely in so many ways and has no problem with expressing, often, that he feels the same way about me. I never thought that I'd be on here making this post so soon, but I always hoped, and that was what kept me going through all of the awful first dates, ghosting, lies, etc. Just the basic bullshit you can expect when using the apps to date. I never thought that I'd feel safe going this quickly with someone, and yet I'm meeting his friends this weekend and his family for Thanksgiving. It turns out what I always said was true. You only need to find that one person, and every shitty experience before that will have been worth it. It was. I will be upset if it ends, but always glad to have discovered someone with whom it was even possible to get this close and this far this quickly. And really, I don't expect to be saying that it ended. We're both old enough to know what feels right when we find it and feel comfortable moving forward while still maintaining our individuality. Wish me luck. In the comments, Caroline Bentley says, I like your brand of optimism, OP. I hope it's a positive experience for the both of you, no matter where it takes you. OP says, thank you. It is much appreciated. That brand of optimism is what helped me get here in the first place, and it's something I hope to never lose. Quasi-Pseudo says, I appreciate the way that you ended that. In no way am I trying to poo-poo on your post or your relationship, but mine did end. However, I needed a reminder that even though it ended, it was still good. And I'm still glad that I had time with someone that I connected with so well. So aligned, so in sync. It was a beautiful thing. Thanks for the reminder. Hopeless Rome Antic says, it's been rough lately, and today is no exception. Not dating-wise, just life stuff. I think reading this post is the first time that I genuinely smiled today. You never know who or what is around the corner, and this post warmed my icy, Grinch-sized heart. Best of luck to you, OP. Be good to each other. OP replies, I'm glad that I could make you genuinely smile. Life can be such shit sometimes, but keeping your eyes on the prize, even if you have no idea what the prize might look like, is key. It helps keep you positive because it helps give you hope. Hope is huge. Keep up the hope, friend. Damn, okay, OP, with the hope posting today. Thank you for this wonderful one. Let's see how it goes in the update, because I genuinely don't think it's going to crash and burn. You're just going to give us so much positivity. I believe in it. And now, onto the update about 4 months later. So I made a post about 4 months ago now saying that I'd met someone via Bumble and we were really hitting it off. I got a mixed bag of responses. Everything from people saying we're both crazy, clingy, and unhealthy, to people saying this is exactly how their relationships that led to a marriage started out. Just feeling easy and right. A lot of people asked for an update, so I've just been hanging out seeing how this thing goes once it's past the notorious 3-month mark, and now I'm here to update. We're still going strong despite everything that's happened in the interim. He's fighting to keep his job. I met him in October, right as a chronic health issue I had was getting worse, and I went through quite a lot with that. Hormonal treatment making me feel unstable, winter illness making it worse, etc. All of which culminated in surgery last week. My dog got very sick twice in that time. My car died, and I went through the process of buying a new one. It's been an intensely stressful time in both of our lives, which has brought out our imperfections. I'm glad to see that we've both seen those things in each other and are still together. If anything, it showed me who he really is in times of hardship, and I have completely fallen in love with the man that I've come to know in these past 5 months. I'm still so grateful to have found him. I can honestly say that not a damn thing changed at the 3-month mark. He's consistently loving, kind, respectful, and just a good person. I'm essentially living with him. I've maintained my apartment, but I haven't spent a single night there in the last 2 months. And when the employment situation stabilizes, we're going to find a house to rent together and officially move in together. Neither of us wanted to do that prior to the 6-month mark. We're at roughly 5 months now, and I feel very safe taking that step. Life stresses are a lot easier when you know that someone has your back. I truly feel like I've found someone who aligns with my values and with my lifestyle. I love that we're able to maintain ourselves as individuals while also being physically close. I wanted to share this to shore up all of the other people who feel very out of place with app dating/modern dating and just are tired of trying. I got crushed plenty before I found someone who things worked with. All of it has been worth it. If it ends tomorrow, I'll always be grateful that I had it, but now I'm quite certain that it isn't going to end tomorrow or anytime soon. This is built to last. And now for update 2, about 3 years later. I posted originally a few years ago saying that I'd met someone on Bumble, and while it was too early to say that it was forever, I was excited to be spending a lot of time with him and to get to know him. Responses were pretty mixed. Many outright stated that this was unhealthy, toxic, codependent, etc., while others said that when they met the one, it just felt like what I described. I made an update post 6 months later, letting people know that we were still together and going strong. Today, I'm happy to make what is hopefully the final update. I married him. We ended up renting out the brewery where we had our first date and inviting all of our friends and family to come and eat and drink on us. It was a Halloweenish wedding, so I wore black and he wore black/navy blue. It was pretty small relatively, only about 40 to 45 people, and everybody had a great time. Honestly, I still would have preferred to just elope, but something taking my partner's needs into account, etc. I had a good hearty laugh reading my last update thread written on March the 10th, 2020, stating, "It's been an intensely stressful time in both of our lives, which has brought out our imperfections. We had no idea how much more stressful and awful and shitty the world was about to become with COVID. Both of our chronic illnesses are worse, and life has been one non-stop stressful train wreck for the last 2.5 years. Particularly because I work in healthcare. It ended up causing fights between us, and we sought counseling via a Gottman-certified couples therapist. It is amazing and so useful. I would highly recommend it to literally any couple no matter where you are in your relationship. We still go every 8 weeks and do a tune-up visit, but it's less and less necessary as time has passed. Whenever anyone asks what's the biggest thing that makes our relationship successful, I can honestly say it's the willingness of both of us to work on ourselves in order to benefit our relationship. As long as we keep that, I believe we'll last a lifetime. Thank you to everybody who was supportive and those who offered constructive criticisms to me over the last 5 years that I've spent on this subreddit. I learned so much from the people here and fully intend to keep coming and helping others where I can. Am I the asshole for apologizing to my mum on behalf of my wife so we could have a smooth family day meetup? My wife and I have been married for a year and a half, and we have a 7-month-old toddler. We've both gotten along with our respective in-laws really well and have never really had any issues. Last week, my wife and my mum had gotten into a verbal spat regarding not sending photos of our son to her. Apparently, my mother-in-law had forwarded some photos of a while back, and my mum was bothered that she hadn't received them. I wasn't there when the call happened and heard 2 very different sides of the story. According to my wife, my mum had said that it's her right as a grandmother to be kept in the loop, and it's my wife's duty to do so. According to my mum, she just said that she would like to be included and would also like to be sent photos if possible. We had a family day weekend. It got cut short due to the weather, hangout, planned with my sister and her family. My sister took my mum's side. We talked, and it was clear that she thought my wife was in the wrong. On Wednesday, I was talking to my mum, and the whole argument got rehashed, and it just slipped out from my mouth that my wife was really sorry about what was said. I then pressed my mum to bury the hatchet too. My sister learned about it and was cool with it as well. Our get-together at my sister's went well, and everyone was cordial. When we got back, my wife said that she was pleasantly surprised at how welcoming my sister was, all things considered. She then asked me if I had said anything. I said that I'd pressed everyone to get over it. She asked if I'd apologized on her behalf, and I said yes, that it slipped out, but I ran with it. She got extremely angry, said she regrets going, and now wants me to either make it clear that she is not sorry or she won't be meeting my mum or sister anymore. I think now that everyone's gotten over it, what good could that do? I do get her point of view that she feels that I shouldn't have spoken on her behalf, but I just thought that I'm the one who actually ended up apologizing and that everyone got past it. Am I the asshole? In the comments, info. Why is it up to your wife to send your mother photos and updates on your child? If you now know that your mother wants this, why haven't you been doing it? I know that it would be easy for your wife to do it at the same time, but why is it your wife's responsibility and not yours? And OP says, I'll be taking the charge and sending my mum photos of him here on. I just don't take photos of these things, and my wife is great about recording everything digitally, so whenever she'd take a picture of him, I would ask her to send it to my mum too, and she would be perfectly happy with doing that. I don't know what happened and why, but I'll just start becoming better at this myself. Someone else says, I mean, that solves the easiest of the problems, but what about the rest? Because as it stands, your wife won't be coming with you to any more family days. You're the asshole. You're very obviously used to placating your mother, which leads me to believe that your wife's version of events is what really happened. You know, you're supposed to be on your wife's team now, right? If you can't stand up to your mother on your wife's behalf, your marriage won't survive long term. OP replies, It's not about placating my mother. She lives far away, and we see her only a few times a year. I'd just like those few occasions to go smoothly. If we were seeing her regularly, then I'd be all for hashing out the issue. My wife has been my partner for over 3 years. She's the person that I'm closest to. This morning, I told her that I just wanted to get this issue done with so that the few times that we see my family can be happy occasions, and that I can ask her to do me a favor to this end because she's my wife, but I can't ask my mum that. She said my apology humiliated her, but the way that I see it, she came out the bigger person, but it was wrong of me to apologize on her behalf, and I again apologized to her for that. She insists that she was in the right and wants to let my mum know that, and I agree that she is, but I asked her to just let this slide and be the more reasonable one. We've dropped the subject for now. I don't get it. I don't understand why OP doesn't see where his wife is coming from. How come you just ignore what she's saying? She said my apology humiliated her, but the way I see it is that she came out of the bigger... Bro, you are minimizing your wife in this situation. It's like, well, yeah, I understand now how you feel because you've told me about it, but actually, you're wrong, buddy. Are you trying to start like a gigantic argument with her? What's going on? You've already had so many arguments with her already off of the foundation of you lying, like putting words in your wife's mouth, and now you're putting thoughts into her brain that don't exist. OP needs a big slap of reality to the face because I'm just seeing delusion here. It's just all delusion. You see the boundaries that your wife sets that are healthy, that will only benefit everyone in the long term, and you say, I'ma just ignore that. How about I lie and manipulate my wife to agreeing to my boundary stomping? How about no, Scott? You're the asshole for this one, OP. And now, onto the update 4 days later. So I ended up talking to my mum about it. I had thought that with a bit of time, my wife would come around to the fact that it was best to just move past it, but it didn't. My mum asked me how my wife was doing, and I told her that she was still pissed about the whole thing. My mum was surprised since she thought that we had all agreed to move on, but I confessed that I had lied because no one else was willing to take the initiative. I also told her that my wife is her daughter-in-law, not daughter. She can't have any expectations from her, and that as her son, I will be the one sending pictures from now on. She apologized for what I had had to put up with, and the position that I was in. After I had spoken with my mum, I let my wife know that I confessed. She said she was sorry that I had to do this, and has been very kind to me. I wish that either her or my mother had been adults and chosen to be the bigger person about this, but knowing both, my mum probably said something entitled, and my wife retorted with something incisive. My mum is set in her ways and will be unreasonable. The reason I was asking my wife wasn't because I thought that she was wrong, but because I thought that she was the more reasonable one. I hate you. Seriously, what is wrong with you? I'm just gonna say it, you're an asshole, man. I don't know how she puts up with you. In the comments, info. Is there a reason that your wife doesn't like to send photos to your mum? Is it that your mum puts them on social media without your wife's consent? Is it that your mum has a history of disrespect for your wife? Is it that your mum wants to be seen as a great grandma without helping at all? There's missing reasons going on here. And OP replies, no. She had never had an issue with sending my mum photos. It's understandable that she'd send more to her own mum than mine, but anyway, I'll be the one sending my mum photos from now on. Quote, she apologized for what I'd had to put up with and the position that I was in. That is not an apology. I saw red at that part. Right? That's another backhanded slam at his wife, and he hasn't even noticed. Oh, he noticed. He doesn't care. In fact, he's doubling down on it. OP started it off as, I got two sides to the story and don't know who to believe, and then goes into great detail about how obvious it was that his mum is the instigator and his wife's version was likely 100% accurate. I give OP's relationship 5 years tops. He's enabling his mother's toxicity towards his wife. There's no way that doesn't destroy whatever trust they had left in each other. Quote, I wish that either her or my mother had been adults and chosen to be the bigger person about this. I don't know. Maybe OP should be the bigger person about this and stop bullshitting his mother and his wife for peace. People always go after the reasonable person to bow down to the unreasonable one. Eventually, even the most level-headed person has had enough of that bullshit. I feel this in my soul. My mother-in-law and I don't have a relationship whatsoever, and my husband only speaks to her every few months because of exactly this kind of attitude. From my mother-in-law, not my husband. My husband's great. He's got a nice spine. OP, I don't placate my mother. He did, in fact, placate his mother. Does she apologized for what I had to put up with mean that the mother apologized to the son for having to put up with his wife? Because if my mother-in-law ever told my husband that, I would double down so hard on not being the person who contacts, sends, or plans anything with her. Gosh, OP, it's never okay to assume that your wife should be the bigger person because she's the more reasonable one. He keeps trying to argue that he's not placating his mother, but that's, in fact, the very thing he's doing. His wife had every reason to be angry. I'll admit I was getting angrier with OP the more that I read this story. I don't care about the stigma. I don't care about it. I'm advocating for divorce. Your wife should divorce you for this one, OP, and you will deserve it. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. Straight to divorce jail with you. Go marry your mum for all I care. This story pissed me off. Oh my god. If you don't divorce now, just know the divorce is coming much sooner than later. No thank you for the story, OP. Don't have a good day. Have a bad one. Our next post is by user Malochi, and it's titled, I, 31 female, am struggling to rebuild my self-worth after my ex-fiancé, 33 male, left me for a woman, 24 female, who seems to be a younger, smarter, prettier, and better version of myself. Hi guys. I know it's probably hard to believe given how nauseatingly pathetic I sound right now, but before this happened, I really felt like a confident and content human being. Almost all of my current friends are mutual friends with an ex-fiancé, so I don't want to embroil them in this drama or compel anyone to choose sides or feel uncomfortable. So I guess I'm trying to turn to this community for solace and guidance because I've read a great deal of mature and grounded advice here. I hope this sounds somewhat coherent, as I've currently locked myself in a conference room and shut the blinds so that no one can see me cry as I type this. I was with my ex-fiancé for 7 years. He is the only romantic partner that I've ever truly loved. I was completely head over heels in love with him. Even now, after all of this, I still feel that way about him. He is charming, goofy, kind, quick-witted, interesting, ambitious, and gorgeous. We got engaged 2 years ago, but we were not in a rush to get married. About a year ago, we began to seriously contemplate trying for a baby. We had lived together happily for 6 years. We had done all of the traveling and partying that we wanted to do in our 20s, and we were excited to start our family. Over the next 6 months, he was much busier than normal, but I didn't think that anything was wrong. I did my best to alleviate any extra stress that he had, though I was experiencing some extra pressure at work too by taking over all of the housework and errands, helping him organize and pack for trips, and just being understanding when he would work very late or need to leave for a week or two. We didn't spend as much time together during that period, and I missed him a lot, but I thought that we were still happy. When the 6 months were over, our schedules reverted back to normal. I felt relieved until I started to notice him becoming more distant, despite the fact that we finally had more time together. He started going on his phone more frequently when we were together, and just seemed to be more protective of his phone. I'm not generally a jealous person, and I trusted him completely, so I didn't think much of it. But then one day, after another month had passed, I brought up the topic of trying for a baby as we had discussed. I could immediately tell that something was wrong. He was quiet for a while, and then he unleashed a flood. He said he was unhappy with our relationship and had been for some time. He said that he cared about me deeply, but that the spark in our relationship had died, and that he tried to convince himself that he could live without that spark, but had ultimately decided that he couldn't. He said I had done nothing wrong, and in fact was the perfect partner, but that didn't change the fact that he couldn't shake this nagging feeling that I wasn't the one for him. He said that he didn't want to hurt me, but that he couldn't condemn himself to a lifetime of settling for someone that wasn't his dream girl, even though he didn't know if his dream girl existed. He said he was sorry, but he couldn't live a lie anymore. I don't think I said a single word as he was telling me all of this, because I just felt so utterly shocked and blindsided. I just stood there, staring and listening and crying silently. When he finished, all I could utter was something like, "Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Do you still love me?" And he paused for a while, and then said that he loved me but wasn't in love with me anymore. We proceeded to spend the whole night discussing his feelings and our relationship until we were both so exhausted we couldn't cry anymore and the sun was coming up. He said he was sorry again and that it was probably best if he stayed at a friend's place. So he packed up some stuff and left. That was about 5 months ago. We never really talked in person again. His brother and his best friend came over that weekend to get the rest of his stuff, and I just left while they were packing because I couldn't stand to be there. I felt so shocked and numb and traumatized and tired that I didn't even cry much. I couldn't really process what was happening as I went through the motions of moving out and explaining the situation to my family. When I finally moved into my new place and sat alone with my boxes, I completely broke down. I could not stop crying and dry heaving. I ended up using 5 vacation days to take off a week of work, which really irked my manager. I could not get out of bed, I barely ate, living off this old tub of peanut butter. I looked through all of our old pictures and tried to figure out where it all went wrong. Then for 4 months, I tried my best to move on. I deleted all of my social media apps so I wouldn't have to see him. I dove into work, I ramped up my hobbies, I exercised to keep my mind occupied, I met with friends and family, and I pretended that everything was okay. I started going to my therapist again, which helped a bit. I finally thought that I could see the light at the end of the tunnel, and then a month ago, I ran into a mutual friend from college. She said that it was really sad to see that we weren't together anymore, and surprising to see how fast he'd moved on. I told her that I wasn't keeping up with him anymore, but that I was doing okay. When I got home, even though I knew it was a terrible idea, I re-downloaded Instagram and went to his profile. His latest picture was him at his cousin's wedding with his arms around a gorgeous girl. All of the old pictures of him and I were gone from his profile. Again, I knew it was a terrible, self-destructive idea, but I went to the girl's profile and I Googled her. She's literally a younger, smarter, prettier, and better version of myself. We both studied at the same university, but she completed a prestigious program which I was rejected from. We both have green eyes and brown hair, but she is far prettier and legitimately looks like a model. We are both thin and fit, but she has an amazing hourglass figure, and she looks far more stylish than me and has tens of thousands of followers, even though she's not an influencer or whatnot. In fact, we both work at the same company. I'm pretty sure that my ex met her through work, but she landed a job in a prestigious division right out of undergrad and likely makes more money than me. She's an improved version of me, 7 years younger, and the love of my life is dating her. For the past month, I've been spiraling. I can't stop stalking my ex-fiancé and this girl. I look at her Instagram every day, and I torture myself with her gorgeous pictures. She's posted a dozen pictures with my ex over the past few months, and he looks so happy, healthy, and fit. They've gone on trips together, he's brought her to his hometown, and he's even posted a picture of them with a mushy caption, which he never did when we were together. I have no evidence, and I don't think my ex would do this, but I now suspect he was at least interested in her while we were still together. She started at the company about a year ago. I'm so paranoid of running into them. I can recognize that my behavior is obsessive and masochistic, and I've deleted Instagram, and I've told myself I'm not going to do this anymore, only to wake up the next day and re-download the app and do it again. My therapist has been trying to help, but I just cannot move past this. I'm stuck in this mental loop of self-loathing and self-pity, this crazy mix of extreme sadness and latent anger. I feel so incredibly low, worthless, used up, discarded, and suddenly so incredibly old. I know that comparison is the thief of joy. I know that I'm objectively still young enough to move on. I know that social media is a highlight reel, and their relationship may not be perfect. I know this girl has done nothing wrong to me. I know that my ex deserves to find his dream girl. But none of this knowledge helps soften the fact that I thought that by this time this year, I would be pregnant with the love of my life, and instead, I'm alone, and he's found someone better. Please, if you've ever experienced something similar, share your words of wisdom, or commiserate with me. I don't know, I just feel so worthless and alone. In the comments, I'm so sorry this happened. I can really feel your pain through your words. I know it sucks, but trust that time will help you move on. 7 years is a long time, And while it would be nice if 4 months was all it took for some people to get over it, the things you did initially sounded good, like deleting social media apps, hobbies, exercise, and therapy. You are under no obligation to pretend everything was okay. That's really not that long, even though I'm sure it feels like an eternity. You are not worthless. You have a lot of great things going for you from the sound of it. I hope you continue therapy, and I sincerely hope that you're at a better place soon. OP replies, "Thank you very much for your reply. I know deep down that you're right. This will heal with time. It does feel like an incredible relief to finally verbalize these festering emotions and receive an encouraging reply. I will try to commit myself to therapy. Thank you." Also consider what he said about the spark being gone and all that other bullshit. Come on. Relationships take work and effort. He expects love and respect and the spark to be effortless? He's in for a rude wake-up call. He's just chasing the next shiny thing, but please don't think of yourself as any less than this other girl. You don't know how kind, giving, caring, or selfless she is. You, on the other hand, seem to be all of the above, shouldering more responsibility when your partner gets busy or overwhelmed. All the qualities that actually make a person good and make for an amazing partner. You can only worry about yourself, and if someone chooses not to see the good in you, they're not worth a second of your time. Pigeon Prowler says, "Everyone else has given excellent advice. Ultimately, therapy and self-work will help you rebuild yourself. It will be painful sometimes, but so worth it, and you will reap massive rewards. A new chapter is beginning, and it's time to mourn and leave behind the people and habits that no longer serve your new life. But in your justifiably emotional state, there's some misinformation that you're feeding yourself as truths. Quote, she is literally a younger, smarter, prettier, and better version of myself. No one is you except you. She looks like you and has similar attributes because your ex has a type, and not to get all armchair therapist, he's probably trying to fix what went wrong with your relationship by essentially having a do-over. He even picked one that was the same age as you when you started dating. That isn't an upgrade, that's regressive, and rather common. Quotes, and the love of my life is dating her. He is not the love of your life. He was one of your loves, but you'll have many, and much, much better than this schlub. Life is more complex and beautiful than romance movies. Don't waste your time thinking this was the one when he made it very clear to you that he wasn't. Time will help you heal. It's okay to fall apart for a while, as long as you keep on picking yourself up. Be kind and gentle with yourself as you would with a friend. Good luck. I agree with all of that. I think that OP is really, self-destructing in a sense to this situation, and that is perfectly understandable. It's a natural reaction, so many people have it. But I agree with Pigeon Prowler there. I do think that he is regressing. There's a good chance that that relationship that he is monkey branched into does not go well and he repeats the same mistakes. I really do hope that OP reads these comments and gets some better perspective as to how badly she is treating herself, and that it is not as doom and gloom as she's making it out to be. It really is not. It is a huge, huge, hit, absolutely. But she is far better off picking herself up and finding someone that does value her, because he has shown, yes, he does not and he will not. You have to let go of these people. It is not healthy to stay attached to them like that. And now, onto the update. Hi again, guys. It's been about 3 months since I posted about my struggle to move past my 7-year relationship with my ex-fiancé. While I cringe when I think about the pathetic state that I was in when I wrote that post, sobbing alone in that conference room, I was stunned by the empathetic, mature, and helpful advice that I received from members on this subreddit. These past few months have been an absolute rollercoaster, and I thought that I owed this subreddit an update, given how much solace and guidance you guys gave me during some of my darkest days. I don't think that things would have worked out nearly as well if I had continued to bottle up those festering emotions and isolate myself, so I'm grateful for every single person who commented and messaged me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So here's what happened. The night I made that post, I finally blocked my ex-fiancé and his girlfriend on Instagram, as many of you suggested. I think actually verbalizing how obsessive and masochistic my behavior was, instead of keeping it all inside, and finally feeling validated in my emotional reactions after reading your sympathetic comments, clicked something in my brain. Instead of feeling alone and crazy, I resolved to break out of that self-destructive loop, to stop torturing myself with their perfect pictures, and reclaim a modicum of self-respect. It was an incredible relief to not be constantly following the impulse to view their new pictures and give myself some time to heal, instead of picking at that scab every single day. That weekend, I decided to reconnect with my family and friends and stop pretending that I was handling the breakup flawlessly. They were incredibly compassionate, though also shocked that I had been hiding my dark feelings so well, and it was like I'd instantly rebuilt my support network. I didn't realize how emotionally isolated I had become until I was able to be honest and open with people in my life. I did continue to avoid talking to friends who were mutual friends with my ex because I didn't want to put anyone in an awkward position, but I was able to reconnect with a few of my other friends, and I took the initiative to finally make some fun plans. Getting out of the house to enjoy brunches, hikes, and shows with my friends over the past few months has been incredibly beneficial for my mental health. Just being in new environments and focusing on people other than my ex was therapeutic, even for someone who tends towards introversion like myself. Per your suggestions, I also decided to try out another therapist. I did find my original therapist somewhat helpful, but I also felt like he was not able to relate to some of the nuances in my issues, given that he was in his late 50s. So we had a bit of a generational gap. My new therapist is incredibly compatible with me, and instantly understood the intricacies of my problems. She has helped considerably with addressing the roots of my insecurities, and was able to validate and analyze my feelings in a much more intimate way. If you are struggling to find therapy useful, I highly recommend shopping around for a bit for a more compatible therapist. Therapy is certainly not a one-size-fits-all. Another popular suggestion from you guys was finding a job at another company, away from my ex-fiancé and his girlfriend. I didn't think that would be possible since the job market in my field is not great at the moment, but I began actively searching for other positions. I brushed up my resume, filled out a couple of applications, and even surprisingly secured an interview. Then, out of the blue, someone above me in my division quit to join a competitor. The senior managers were quite eager to fill his role quickly, so they decided to go with an internal hire. And after 5 or 6 rounds of interviews, God, I absolutely dread interviews, I got the job. I'm so grateful for this promotion. Not only is the salary substantially better, but the hours are actually more consistent as well. It's crazy. I feel like the momentum of my life has shifted so quickly, and I finally have an office. It's tiny, but I really enjoy it. The only downside was this promotion also meant that I would have to continue working in the same building as my ex, albeit a very large building. And as I left work before Christmas, the moment I'd been dreading came. I ran into my ex as I was leaving the office. We exchanged a few pleasantries, and he complimented my new haircut. I thanked him, wished him well, and said that I had to hurry to catch the next train. I wish I could say I felt cool and collected, but I was so nervous to see him again for the first time in like 6 months that I was almost shaking. On the commute home, I calmed down and actually thought, hey, that wasn't so bad. He looked good, but I didn't feel a rush of sadness or desire or anything. I mostly just felt awkward, like we'd become strangers again. I didn't feel that familiar impulse to stalk his Instagram, and actually felt happy to see that he was doing okay since I had cared for him for so many years. I felt like at last I was really moving forward. The next day, I woke up to a dozen messages from my ex-fiancé. They started at around 2 a.m. and were slightly incoherent in parts, so I'm guessing he was a bit drunk when he sent them. They were all long walls of text, which surprised me because he's not typically big on verbalizing his emotions. He wrote that he hadn't been able to stop thinking about me since we ran into each other's outside the office, that he was sad that we weren't friends anymore because I still felt like his best friend, and that he regretted how everything went down. He said he questioned if he had made a huge mistake in a moment of weakness and fucked his whole life up, and that he couldn't help but regret it all when he saw me. He apparently noticed that I'd blocked him on Instagram, which I found funny given how intensely I had been stalking his Instagram, and said that that made him really sad. I gathered from his messages that he had likely broken up with the woman that I'd seen on his Instagram because he said that he felt like he had been searching for some ideal woman who doesn't exist, and that he wanted to reignite our spark after failing to find that same spark with other people. I'm not gonna lie, it was shocking to read his texts, and I was trembling and struggling to process a lot of it at first. Part of me wanted impulsively to give him another chance, but after taking a day to mull over his words, I ended up feeling like he was less sorry that he had lost our relationship and more sorry that the greener pastures he sought weren't quite as green as he had imagined. I tried to respond kindly but firmly, saying that I really treasured and appreciated our relationship, but I felt like I could no longer trust him to the same degree that I once did, and that I felt like it would be confusing and painful for us to become friends in the near future. I told him how hurt I felt when he blindsided me after promising that nothing was wrong, and how I struggled for a long time to figure out what was missing in our relationship, but ultimately felt that as long as he thought the missing part was so crucial that he wanted to leave after all of those years together, that we probably aren't meant to be together. I wished him the best, and he didn't respond to my messages. I was a bit shaken by the whole thing, but I proceeded to enjoy the holiday break with my family and even elected to go to my friend's New Year's Eve party, which I was considering skipping. Well, I'm super glad that I didn't skip the party because I ended up meeting a wonderful man there. He is funny, intelligent, cute, interesting, compassionate, and is eager to settle down and have kids after somewhat recently exiting a long-term relationship. We've gone on 3 dates so far, and at the risk of sounding too enthusiastic, they've been the best dates of my life. We want to take it slow, since we were both in long-term relationships a year ago, but we've also been stunned by how compatible our personalities and interests and goals are, and frankly, we're also both quite keen to start a family as soon as possible. So while I'm trying not to be overly confident in this relationship, I'm also super excited to see where it goes. In conclusion, thanks in large part to the advice that I received 3 months ago in this subreddit, I've emerged from a very dark place and am now cautiously optimistic about my future for the first time in a long time. In the comments, what these dumb fucks never realize is that sparks aren't permanent. Loving someone and relationships ebb and flow. They require work. I hope he spends a long time alone realizing all of this because he will just do it again when he gets bored. The whole point of a spark is to start a fire that will keep you warm throughout the night. And if he was unhappy and had been unhappy for a long time, but did absolutely nothing to figure out why he was unhappy, or made zero effort to work through things with her, then no wonder the new relationship didn't work. It might spark, but the new woman won't be there to support him for months while work gets hectic, or have years of in-jokes. He couldn't even bother to really talk to her about getting back together, just started drunk dialing. Yes, like how are you going to hide all of your feelings from your partner, lie to her whenever she asks if you're okay, slowly growing more and more resentful every day, and then complain that there is no spark? Like, yeah, it's so weird you don't feel a strong connection to this person that you're completely shutting out. I, 26 female, am pregnant for the first time with my husband's, 26 male, baby. His daughter, 7 female, from his first marriage, is ruining my life. I'm sure that my husband doesn't even know that Reddit exists, but I'm sure we have friends that go in this subreddit, so I'm using a throwaway account for this one. I feel like the worst person in the world for typing this out to begin with, but I need some reassurance or practical ways that I can handle this situation. For some backstory, my husband and I are very much in love. We met over 5 years ago through work and got married last year. It was my first marriage and his second. We recently bought a house together and everything, and decided that it was a good time to start a family. After months of trying, I am now pregnant with a beautiful, wrinkly fetus. I'm about 5 months along at the moment, and though I feel a bit more emotional/craving crazy than I used to be, I still feel rather healthy and good about myself. My husband was supportive and took very good care of me, until Ava, obviously not her real name, came into our life. Ava is from my husband's first marriage. He was married to a kind woman who, only after 4 years of marriage, grew bored of him and cheated on him with many men. When my husband found out, he went through her cell phone on a gut feeling. He was livid and upset with her. She had been sending and receiving nudes for months back. But despite this, he wanted to work things out with her, but she'd already moved in with another man, taken Ava with her, served him divorce papers, along with a restraining order. She has also sent Ava to therapists, trying to brainwash her into thinking that my husband was a neglectful father. My husband took this sack of shit to court to fight for joint custody, but he ultimately lost. He can only see her a few times a year. Immediately after winning, said sack of shit took Ava and moved to a different city almost 3 hours away with her new man. Since her birth in 2007, my husband has only seen Ava about a dozen times for special occasions or weddings. He technically still has custody of her, but not at all primary, only on paper. So on to the meeting. We met when I was 20 and he was 30. He was still in the middle of divorce papers and was wrecked from having to pay alimony along with child support and not being able to get any closure on his marriage or access to his daughter. We became good friends and we hung out often until about a year into the friendship, we decided to move in together. I needed a roommate and he needed a roommate because he could no longer support himself living alone. We fell for each other gradually until we were in love, and after his finances were straightened out, he proposed to me, and we were married last year, as I'd said before. But now, long story short, Ava's rent-a-womb broke it off with yet another man. Word of mouth is, she met another man online who lives an entire state away and wanted to go live with him. She left Ava with her parents, Ava's maternal grandparents, who live in our city, but the maternal grandparents are old. They are old, weak, and though they like having their granddaughter around, they can't raise her. They can't help her with homework or help her get ready for school. They don't drive. So one day, Ava literally just showed up on our doorstep, and we've had to readjust our whole lives for her. I have never had so much hatred for a 7-year-old in my life. I feel like shit. Ava is the rudest little girl that I have ever seen. She has no manners and no consideration for anyone. She talks back to her father and gives him attitude. She only smiles and acts loving when she wants something, like new toys or clothes that she wants. When she found out that she was to get a younger sibling, I let her rub my belly. But instead, she smacked me. She's smacked my belly at random times when I walk past her, and it makes me livid and drives me to tears. I tell her that it's unacceptable to hit anyone, especially her sibling, but she screams that I'm not her mum, and I can't tell her what to do. Who's heard of that one before? I told my husband about her behavior and how she acts when he's not around, deliberately makes messes that I have to clean, draws on my paintings and books with markers, won't eat my home-cooked food but demands pizza and ice cream, and instead of scolding and disciplining her, he placates her and gets her what she wants. His idea of scolding is, "Don't do that again, okay?" It's like he's gone from being a dependable family man to a flaccid doormat of a father. I want to send her back to her sack of shit mother. Maybe she'd be better off in foster care, but at this point, I don't care anymore. Is there any way that I can deal with this in a practical way? I can't even keep my head straight. I don't like feeling toxic when I'm about to be a mother, as I've tried so hard to be a mother figure to this girl, the best that I can be, but this girl is beastly to me. I'm always walking by her with my hands around my belly in case she strikes me again. If this is how she's gonna be, I don't want her to affect my unborn baby. She's already having a profoundly negative effect on my husband. I hate her stupid white trash mother for ripping her away from my husband, denying him access, and then dumping her on her parents and then onto us once she wanted a new out-of-state cock to ride. I know this girl is the consequence of her environment. It has to be, but I don't know what we can do at this point. I've never worked with behavioral children, and I've never dreamed that I'd be a wicked stepmother figure in the midst of being barefoot and pregnant. My question is, how the hell can I sort this family out without going absolutely mental? I feel like a prisoner in my own home and didn't sign up for this sort of dysfunctional nonsense. This is affecting my sanity, my marriage, and my family. Any input or solutions are welcome. Please help. In the comments, When I Feel Like It says, "That little girl desperately needs therapy. I know she's awful, but she's been raised poorly and she's been abandoned. She's pissed off. You guys can be the stable, loving home that she needs to grow up normal." Listen, I'm a stepmom. Bio mom's a total sack of shit, but the kids were like wild animals when I came on the scene 2 years ago. Tantruming, destroying stuff, not listening, serious emotional disturbance, but with therapy, love, diligence, and total dedication, their dad, who has had sole custody for 2 years until recently, and I, turned those 2 kids into functional human beings. It's made me cry and want to give up at times, but I reminded myself that they needed me. They have a great dad, but he had no idea how to parent at first. He was just escaping from a physically and emotionally abusive woman and trying to keep them safe. He would have anxiety attacks when they threw tantrums. He would let them eat whatever they wanted and do whatever they wanted. I came in, made rules and bedtimes, taught him that it's okay to be strict, that you must choose your battles, but win every single one that you choose. They went from eating pizza and mac and cheese every night to eating whatever healthy meal that we put in front of them. They went from tantrums and freakouts to deep breathing and apologizing. It takes time, dedication, and a lot of patience, but you have got to get him on the same page. You've both got to be willing to wait her out until she breaks and realizes that you're the boss, and you've got to be firm and loving at all times. She needs to feel safe with you. She's a 7-year-old little girl. That's my stepson's age, and he still very much needs me to hold him when he's feeling insecure and anxious, make him feel safe, and he needs to know that Daddy and I are 2 people he can trust, no matter what, to never, ever let him down. That little girl needs to know that you and your husband will never let her down, and her behavior will improve when she does. She's scared and angry and abandoned, and nobody has ever taught her how to be a person. You can do that. Where We Left Off says, awesome advice. One added thing, sort out the custody with the courts. You don't want to spend months dealing with her problems plus a newborn if she's just going to be taken away again. Make sure Dad is on the same page. Very good point. Never leave that stuff unspoken or unofficial. And I'm serious. If X has custody, husband could actually end up responsible for child support during the time that she's with you. Go to the court about this immediately. Went through this very situation. After my friend had his child dumped on the doorstep, he didn't worry about court. 8 months later, she wanted the kid back. He actually faced kidnapping charges for a period of time. Make everything completely legal and airtight. Yeah, this is a situation that needs to be handled with a lot of patience and a lot of grace. If all she's ever known is that chaotic household that she grew up in, that's something that's going to take some time to fix. And that first comment by When I Feel Like It pretty much encapsulates how you should approach the situation, in my opinion. Obviously, get all your ducks in a row with the courts to begin with. That's an incredible idea. But yeah, this little 7-year-old girl is alone. She has been abandoned by those that, she should be able to trust the most. You, OP, have a chance to fix this, but you have to be incredibly careful. And now, on to Update 1. Since I've started walking around with my hands casually on my belly when around Ava, she hasn't been hitting me as much as she used to. This morning over breakfast, in front of both my husband and I, Ava told me that I hope your baby dies. My husband had been asking what she thinks that we should name the baby, and we came up with ways to try and include her in the pregnancy, and she said nothing. After my husband and I both took turns asking her, come on, you can think of a boy name and a girl name, she told me, I hope your baby dies. I didn't say anything, and I let my husband discipline her, but as always, his idea of discipline is to say simply, you're a big girl, you shouldn't say those things. I asked him into the next room and asked that he be more firm with her, as she had been physically punching me in the belly, and now it's looking like she'll be saying that she hopes the baby dies. Thanks for all of your responses. I've read through each of them, and though I couldn't reply to your comments, I really appreciated the input. One poster actually mentioned that I might be jealous of Ava's existence because it's a reminder that I'm going through a first marriage and my first pregnancy with someone who's done it all before. And you know what? I'll admit that does bother me a bit. Having Ava be so behavioral and difficult as she isn't really helping my feelings either. Though I will say, not as many commenters in my OP said as much about what to do about Ava hitting me on my 5-month pregnant belly. But I can say that I've never talked badly about Biomum in front of her. If I seem hostile towards her, it's probably because she acts so beastly to me no matter what I do for her. Cook for her, pack her lunches, pick her up from camp, and even resorts to hitting me. That I cannot look past. Sorry if that makes me immature and selfish, but I don't want to surround myself with that kind of negativity, even if it comes from a 7-year-old. I'm going to ask my husband, he's speaking to Ava right now, that I'll be going to live with my parents for a while, or if not, my sister. I want to finish the rest of my pregnancy in peace and without stress. The best thing for me right now is to protect the baby in my own belly. Ava is also behavioral towards her father, so I'll say that this time can be used for Ava and husband to bond. It would temporarily move me out of sight and maybe allow husband some one-on-one time with Ava. Maybe by the time that I'm back in the family home with our new addition, she'll cool off a bit and we can start therapy, as many of you have suggested. Thank you for your input, Reddit. I appreciate every thought. In the comments, Ruladen says, Ava having all of this anger against the baby actually makes perfect sense. Her mum dropped her like a hot rock. Her mum, who was her sole caregiver and the one person in her life who was supposed to be there for her no matter what. Then she got kicked over to her grandparents and then dropped with you guys. Her dad, who's practically a stranger, and a stepmom who's having a hard time dealing with her. And you guys are excited for your new baby. In Ava's 7-year-old mind, she's afraid that once the baby comes, you guys are going to decide that you don't want Ava anymore either. She's already been abandoned for less. She might hope that if you don't have a baby, then maybe, just maybe, you will love her and keep her. She hates the baby because she thinks that it's a threat to her, because she's a frickin' 7-year-old girl who's already been drop-kicked by her own mother. This girl has been chewed up and spit out, and she knows that you're more excited about the baby you've planned for than the hurt kid who just landed in your lap. Whatever you do, do not wait to start therapy. You think it's tough now? I guarantee you it's not going to be any easier once you have a newborn who needs 24/7 care and you are permanently sleep deprived. Go to therapy now. Get an appointment for this week, if you can manage it. However tough it is to start this process now, it's going to be 100 times harder once the baby arrives, I promise. There's a lot of people in this thread saying that OP shouldn't move out and saying that it's like a terrible idea because Ava will have won in this situation. I personally don't agree with it. You know, what if it was anyone else hitting OP, who was 5 months pregnant, in her stomach? He wouldn't be okay with that. Ava is physically assaulting a pregnant woman. That's not just a behavioral issue, that is dangerous. And yeah, if it was anyone else but Ava hitting OP in the stomach, would he just go up to them and say, tisk tisk, you shouldn't do that? And that's it? Like, that's not the appropriate response to this situation, I'm sorry. Why is he so non-confrontational and being such a doormat? He is terrible at dealing with this situation. Family therapy, yesterday. Enforce serious consequences consistently. Like timeouts, loss of the privileges, any toys taken away needs to happen. And if all these boundaries that OP sets up with Ava don't work and she hits her again, I don't blame OP for leaving the house and getting her piece. OP is overwhelmed, she's unsupported, and she's in a crisis. It makes sense why she feels the way she does, and it doesn't seem that OP's husband is doing anything to help her out. Let's not mention the 10-year age gap. I think OP moving out is probably the kick in the head that her husband needs to get his shit under control. I think that's a perfectly reasonable ultimatum to set. And now onto the final update, 6 days later. Since my last update, we've put Ava into therapy and began attending marital counseling. Ava is going to therapy twice a week, and my husband and I are attending once a week. I'm glad that we managed to get everything out during our very first session, as we have the remainder of the sessions to work towards resolving the marriage as well. A lot of my anger has gone away since I moved out. I'm writing this from my parents' home, and I feel safe and relaxed. I've been taking some maternity yoga classes for my own peace, and I think I quite like it. Husband and I talk or text almost every day over the phone, and we plan to meet up or have me come by once or twice a week to our family home to do family activities, as the therapist suggested. I know many of you suggested that I stay in the family home, but the peace that I feel now with Peanut, we nicknamed the little one, I wouldn't trade this experience away. I finally feel like I can indulge and experience my pregnancy to its fullest. Ava and I did have one last violent fallout before I moved out. I put my hands on Ava when she came in for another swing. This was right after the talk that my husband had with her about her absolutely not hitting me, so I quickly grabbed her wrist. No hitting, no spanking, just grabbed her wrists to restrain her. I told her that I would not tolerate being hit, reminded her of the no-hitting rule, and asked her to please stop. She retaliated by swinging her leg up to kick me in the stomach. Think Gerard Butler's "This is Sparta" kick scene. My God, the willpower it took me not to slap her across the face was burning, but I managed to walk away in tears, but still managed to tell her what big trouble she was going to be in for hitting me again, and came straight back with her dad in tow, who gave her a big stern lecture about it. This happened a day after the first child therapy session, so my husband and I were pretty relieved that we had got the ball rolling on that therapy, and he supports me 100% in my decision to move out until the end of my pregnancy. His issues are that he has no idea what to do with Ava, and is afraid that she will hate him if he is too hard on her. Remember that he was basically cut out of her life for almost her entire childhood until her bio mum abandoned her. It was here that I told him that I was unhappy that he appeared to be bending over backwards for Ava while neglecting Peanut. I raised the issue of hard discipline and drawing rules, and the counselor will help us out in drawing up fair house rules. Some of them include no hitting and no name-calling, eat whatever is put on your plate, dessert will only be after your meal is finished, and help out with household chores, small things, in exchange for a small allowance. My husband and I both agreed that we would treat Ava fairly and discipline the same way, and that the same rules for Ava would also apply to our own child. I know we won't be applying similar rules to the baby in its toddlerhood, but we feel that it's a good guide, and it can show Ava the nature of house rules and that life requires some order and discipline, things that she probably is not used to having around. But we're starting that now. We haven't heard from Rent-A-Womb for weeks now, not even a single phone call to see how Ava is doing with the transition. We both agreed that she is no longer welcome to intrude in our life. We will get some sort of ball rolling to claim for full custody now that she has proven herself to be an utterly incompetent human being. So here I am, resting with my Peanuts and surrounded by my parents and sister, and we are full of positive vibes. My husband and I are in marriage counseling, and Ava is in therapy. We plan to take some parenting courses at a local community center, and we will be bringing Ava with us. Maybe being around other girls and boys expecting siblings will be there, and maybe some of their enthusiasm and attitudes will rub off on her. We'll be encouraging her to make some friends. Perhaps some playdates are in order. Edit. I've read all the PMs and the responses, and I'll do my best to read and respond to every one of them. A few things seem to be popping up over and over again, so I'm going to do my best to unify my stance. 1. I originally came to this board, see the original post, to seek help and how I should deal with the Ava situation. Many commenters suggested therapy and that I should work together with my husband. It gave me a chance to reflect on how I was thinking, and I was able to process my state and emotions. This update is for those who asked for an update, and for all of those who wanted to see how our family dealt with it in conclusion. I got the help and advice that I needed, and chose to take the one that resonated most with me. 2. I'm moving out until the end of my pregnancy, with my husband's support and blessing. Make me feel bad or selfish all you want. As I said in my last post, I'm not sorry for the decision that I made. I don't care about whether I'm letting Ava win. We've set ground rules and therapy for her, and now it's time to take care of me. You don't win anything against a 7-year-old child. When you have a 7-year-old violently punching and kicking your pregnant belly, then come and talk to me. I don't care if women in some countries have to lower and squat in a minefield to give birth to premature triplets. That's not the hand that I was dealt, and I wish to have a stress-free pregnancy. 3. I know I've had feelings of, I want to slap the shit out of Ava, but I will not be putting my hands on her. Yes, I was beaten as a child. Punitively, and only within reason, but I will never be beating or hitting her. 4. Rent a womb seems pretty apt for a woman who gave birth to, and then proceeded to drag said child on a wagon tour around to screw multiple men while keeping her away from her bio dad and abandoning her once it got inconvenient. I've used rent a womb since I've heard about and met this woman. She deserves no title of parent or mother. It's a nickname that I call my husband's ex. Why can we call uninvolved dads sperm donors, but not its female counterpart? Seems apt. And 5, a lot of you have PM'd me thanking me for my decision to move out. You also grew up in a blended family where you were abused by your step-siblings, and your bio parent was too afraid to discipline you and overlooked the abuse in lieu of hopes that it was just a rivalry phase that would go away. I knew that there were other people who have gone through similar situations, and thank you for coming out of the woodworks. I appreciated those encouragements. Remember that blended families have very different dynamics than traditional families, and that there is no real set-in-stone guideline. Best of luck to everyone in similar shoes. And for additional information, OP says, when I married my husband, his ex had 100% custody and was 3 hours away. She dumped Ava onto her grandparents when she wanted to live with a new man a state away, and we were given a few days' warning from when she was at her grandparents to our home. So believe me when I say that while I knew that he had an estranged child, I knew about it, but I didn't know that we would be dealing with raising her. We are doing the best we can. In the comments, Catherine the Shrew says, this is a tough read. I feel like we're missing so much information. Family courts don't just not grant visitation or custody to one parent so easily. Even if the parent is a piece of shit, they usually give them some form of visitation. So, not really sure about the Ava's father and what he did to be legally completely moved from his kid's life and his ex's life. Also like, huh? The mum just dropping Ava off at her grandparents when she gets tired of taking care of her? Seems like Ava has a lot of severely, deeply rooted issues. She was probably told that her dad didn't want her, so she felt abandoned there. Then her mother, who is supposed to be the one who loves and cares for her above all else, abandons her at her grandparents' house. And then they leave her with her father and his new wife, who she doesn't know at all. I'm not excusing her behavior, but that's a lot for a 7-year-old to go through. Also, add in the restraining order that OP casually mentioned. There are so many details that have been left out here. Pugosaurus Tex replies, hell, my younger sister had a restraining order on her ex, and police saw him slam her head against their baby's crib while their baby was crying inside that crib. He was still granted unsupervised visitation, and she had to drive halfway to meet his mother, who then brought the child to visit him. I'm sorry to hear that about your sister. That's really awful. But unfortunately, I'm not surprised that visitation was allowed. There are very limited circumstances where a court restricts visitation, even where there is evidence of abuse. Supervised visitation is usually only ordered where there had been abuse against the child, even though there's an argument that witnessing a parent being abused is abuse against the child. There were so many holes in the husband's extremely one-sided story of divorce plus losing custody that I was surprised OP bought it. But I guess that's why he went after a 20-year-old while he was 30. Seriously, I'm reading about how awful he was to OP in this situation, and she's still flinging vitriol at the ex. I mean, I suppose he was the perfect husband for his first wife, and the devastation from her betrayals turned him into what he is now, but I really don't think that's the case. Yeah, it seems suspect, doesn't it? OP shows such a negative and insulting attitude towards a woman that she seems to have never met, and her husband somehow got a restraining order against him and lost joint custody, and only has seen Ava on special occasions for about 2 times a year since then, not to mention going for a barely adult woman back then. Not saying that the ex is quite alright and 100% doing right by Ava, but there is definitely more missing from the story. OP claims the ex brainwashed Ava, but it seems that her husband might have done similar to her. Guys, what do you mean our 10-year age gap is a problem? What do you mean? What? It's actually the ex that's the problem here, not him. He's perfect. Yeah, I didn't really cop onto it, as you can tell. But people don't just see their kid only 12 times in 7 years for no reason at all. That's not how family law works anywhere. It is what it is. I wish nothing but the best for Ava. I think she is the biggest victim in this entire situation. I hope she's doing okay now, but with parents like that, who needs enemies, right? Thank you for the story, OP. I don't feel any better than I did when I started this. Oh my god. Am I the asshole here for telling my mum that I won't take care of her when she's old after she abandoned me as a kid? I, 29 female, was raised by my dad after my mum walked out on us when I was 6. She left to find herself and started a new family with another man. She barely kept in touch. No birthdays, no holidays, not even a call when I graduated college. So for most of my life, I accepted that she didn't want to be my mum, and I moved on. Fast forward to a few months ago, out of nowhere, she reached out. At first I thought maybe she wanted to reconnect and apologize for the past, but no. She told me she was struggling financially, her health wasn't great, and she needed someone to step up and take care of her. Apparently, her husband left and her other kids weren't in a position to help. I told her flat out no. I wasn't going to play caretaker for someone who abandoned me when I needed her. I reminded her that she made her choice years ago and that I don't owe her anything. She got mad and started crying, saying, "But I'm still your mother. You can't just throw me away like I'm nothing." I don't feel guilty. She made her bed and now she has to lie in it. But part of me wonders if I really am being too harsh. Am I the asshole here for refusing to take care of the one who abandoned me, even though she is my mother and we share the same blood? In the comments, Long Jumping Owl asks, "Why are you even talking to her if she abandoned you as a kid?" And OP says, "I really thought that she would reconcile with me, but it seems like she just contacted me because she needed something." Dog Poundma says, "Not the asshole. You don't owe her anything. She made her bed, time to sleep in it." OP says, "I was willing to forgive her, but there was a darker picture behind why she wants to reconnect with me." I'm with OP on this one. She says I need someone to step up, but it's funny. OP needed someone to step up when she was a kid. Oh, you can't throw me away like I'm nothing? Like, she threw OP away for a new family? Interesting that these narcissists that, turn their back on everyone else are surprised when those same people turn their back on them when they're old and dying. There's a reason that we get a lot of nursing home staff come in and be like, yeah, you can spot the ones that are going to have no one showing up for them when they're in the nursing home. For good reason. OP's mum is one of them, and you're not the asshole here for telling her that you won't take care of her. She doesn't deserve it, she doesn't deserve you, OP, and you are so much better off without her. And now, on to the update. It's been a day since I posted here, and I'm very thankful to all of you who shared their thoughts on it. I just wanted to share what happened in the past 24 hours. She was still blowing up my phone with guilt trips, telling me that I was heartless and that she did the best she could. When I didn't respond, she turned to extended family. Suddenly, I was getting messages from relatives that I hadn't spoken to in years, telling me I was a disgrace and that family is family no matter what. One aunt even said, "You'll regret this when she's gone." But the real kicker? I found out from my dad that she's been telling people that she was forced to leave when I was a kid, painting herself as the victim in all of this. She claimed that my dad turned me against her and that she always wanted to be in my life, but that I never let her. That was the moment that I knew I made the right decision. I sent her one final message. "You abandoned me. You don't get to come back now and demand my love and care like nothing happened. I owe you nothing." And then I blocked her. I don't feel bad. If anything, I feel lighter. I feel free. I feel happy. OP signing off. In the comments, Peter says, "This is the best outcome of the situation. May OP have a smooth future and the mother be punished and disgraced for the rest of her life. All kids deserve a good mother." The people who think the OP is heartless are welcome to take the mother in and look after her themselves. I would have laughed and cut her off when she asked. I wouldn't have even written a post about it. Narcissists don't really deserve any emotion or explanation. Good parents don't have to call and beg and guilt trip and manipulate their children for help. Also, good parents never would. I've gotten compliments from relatives for how attentive I was in helping my disabled father when he was alive. It wasn't some noble sacrifice on my part. I was just showing him the same love and care that he gave me growing up. We visited my father-in-law every day while he was recovering from a stroke. He's a good man. He was never without family and friends coming to wish him well. Nobody had to be browbeaten into it, because we all loved him and wanted to spend time with him. Yeah, OP's mother just sounded like an incredibly broken woman who abandoned her to find herself, but instead of finding herself, just continued to repeat those same mistakes that she made in the past because, look, all the other kids that she had abandoned her as well. Crazy, huh? She was probably insufferable towards everyone there, like her husband and the children. Why would anyone want to take care of her? Like, she doesn't deserve it, and it's unfortunate. But these things happen when you're a bad person towards everyone around you. Thank you for standing up for yourself, OP, and showing us what you should do in situations like that. I wish nothing but the best for you going forward. Thank you for your story. Our next post is by user Palette of Emotions, titled, "Am I the asshole for exposing an influencer to her family after she demanded a free painting and $200 on top of that, threatening to tell her followers not to buy from me if I refused? My mum's goddaughter, let's call her Jen, 29 female, asked me, 25 female, to do a painting for her because she saw that I did one for a mutual friend. Let's call her Anna. Jen wanted the painting as a gift for her father, who is a retired photographer. But here's the thing. Anna paid me for the painting and everything went smoothly. She posted a picture of the painting with her mum as she was gifting it to her. Well, Jen saw that painting and became interested in one for her father. The problem is, she wanted me to do it for free. She said she would advertise it on her Instagram and tell her fans to buy from me in exchange for the painting. I told her no, as I'm not in a great financial spot right now, and I cannot afford to do something for free. She wanted a custom-sized canvas, which is not commonly found in stores. I would either have had to have made it myself or try to find it online for a reasonable price. I explained this to her, but she still didn't understand. She said that I already had the materials on hand and that she didn't think that art materials were that expensive. She accused me of being greedy and not having a vision for business, claiming that her exposure would be more valuable than my art. She also said that she wanted me to pay her $200 on top of the free painting, arguing that with her help, I would make so much money and companies pay her to review things. She pointed out that every creative artist or individual, including her father, did free work at the beginning. Everything went downhill when she noticed that I wasn't replying, as I was working, and she started talking down on me because I was let go from the military, for medical reasons beyond my control. She said I had failed at everything, including that, and that she was giving me the option to succeed and make my parents proud. Since I wasn't replying, she called my mum to complain that I didn't want to do a free painting for her. As I mentioned, she's my mum's goddaughter, and my mum seems to have a preference for her. Mum called me back and demanded I do the painting for free. I became enraged. Jen's words about my parents not being proud of me stuck in my head. So I decided to draw a 2-second sketch and told her that that was her free painting and to leave me alone. She became really angry and threatened to post on her socials, telling her followers not to buy from me and to ruin my art career. I've received a few phone calls from my mum, which I haven't answered, and some hate messages from what I assume are her followers. Am I the asshole here for exposing her texts to her family, including the internet? And then she follows up with just that, the receipts. So let's go through the play-by-play. Hi girlie, how are you? Oh my god, I saw the painting you did for blank's mum, and it's so cute. I want one for my dad. Same thing, the childhood house, and him teaching me how to ride a bike. I would like it a bit bigger though. I'm thinking a 17 by 28, so you have enough space for the house and everything. OP. Hi there, I'm good. I'd love to do a painting for you. I had so much fun painting that for her. Just FYI, a 17 by 28 would be more expensive since it's a custom size. What do you mean? Well, most art stores don't carry that size, meaning that I'd have to have it stretched on my own or have someone custom make that size for me. But, I mean, it shouldn't be that bad. I've seen canvas and paint for like $5 at Walmart. OP says, yeah, but I'm just saying the cost will increase for you. Give me a second and I'll calculate the total and provide an estimate for the down payment. They say, well, about that, I was thinking that we could work out a great deal for you. I think the one who's going to pay me at the end is you. You know my dad's a well-known photographer and knows everyone in Highland Park, literally. He's going to tell everyone about your paintings. And I'll post it on my Instagram. I have a lot of followers too that do what I say. So honestly, I think with all that exposure, a normal person would pay $900. But since you're doing the painting, I'll charge you $200 plus the painting. OP says, what lol? I'm sorry, but I can't afford to do a painting for free at the moment, let alone pay you to post it on Instagram. They say, you aren't really business-minded, are you? You just need to do one painting, which will cost you next to nothing, and with my help, you'll be making thousands. OP says, that's not true. The canvas itself will be like $180 around, plus gesso and paint, plus my time. And they say, you know, Dad started his photography business doing free photo shoots, and see where he is now. You are no one. You gotta do it for free to be known. I know you're reading my messages. I know you want to prove yourself more now that not even the military wants you, lol. Man, that must have been a huge hit for you and your parents. OP says, I was discharged due to medical reasons, but it was an honorable discharge. Some things are beyond your control, and epilepsy is one of them. And they say, yeah, but you failed at everything. You didn't hear it from me, but your mum told me that she was disappointed in you. You have failed at everything, and I'm here trying to help you. Make her proud, won't you? Have a win at least once. Oh, sorry, maybe I shouldn't say anything mean. You might get one of your seizures, Cupcake. Whoa, Jesus. I'm gonna dishonorably rip your head off for that one. Screw you. You aren't really cut out to be an entrepreneur, are you? You aren't going to advance in life like that. OP says, seriously? You called my mum to complain that I wasn't doing your piece for free? What the hell? I'm an adult and she doesn't support me or buy any of my art materials. Here is the best that I can do for free. Leave me alone now. Hell yeah, nice little 2-second sketch. Love that, OP. They say, lol, you're so funny. So funny that I'm about to tell all of my followers on TikTok and Instagram about your treatment. You're a joke of an artist. The only people that buy from you are friends because they feel pity for you. Now no one is going to buy from you. You're so dumb, you just screwed yourself big time. I'll make sure that no one ever buys from you, and then you'll come crawling back asking for my help, but then guess what? I'll say no, because F you. Have fun talking to some of my devoted followers. And you know what? I'm sure I can make the painting myself. You're a ripoff for wanting to charge for bullshit that anyone can do, loser. I'm sure now your mum is going to be even more proud of you. And OP says, I'm not reading all that. Bye. Hell yeah. Sorry that it happened, or happy for you. I'm not reading all that. In the comments, someone asks, can OP make their own canvases? And OP says, I'm sure it's not when you have the space and all the materials to make it. I would need to buy a canvas roll, seesaw, and wood. Something I don't have, and don't have the space to do at my home. So yes, it would be very expensive for me. But I do agree, once you have all of that stuff, it's a lot cheaper. The more influencers who get exposed for the cons they are, the better. Expose away. Not the asshole. Yes, expose her. That is extortion. OP should also show her mum, then ask if she is paying for the canvas, any supplies needed, and the $200 fee to be promoted, which guarantees 0 commissions. Flat out no. I don't work for free. Yeah, nah, it is extortion, and we should not be working for free, especially in this economy. What is going on? Just because companies and brands are willing to pay her money for promotion doesn't mean that automatically anyone in your life needs to pay you for promotion and bullshit like that. It's not realistic, and I don't understand how people continue to operate that way. Definitely take a page out of the comments books and do what they're suggesting. It's not only funny, but it's the right thing to do. Like, expose her to her family. And now, onto the update, 5 days later. Hi everyone, I just wanted to give a quick update. I did tell her dad about it, and we had a brief talk, and he told me she's been acting out due to problems in her relationship. I'm not sure if that's true. He also mentioned that she's been battling alcohol and substance abuse, which has made her more prone to picking fights. She has had recurrent issues, with family and friends complaining to him about it. He said that it was his fault for always giving her what she wanted and for raising her spoiled. Either way, he assured me that he was going to talk to her and ask her never to contact me again. He also asked me not to tell her boyfriend about it, as they're on the brink of separation. Her attitude towards others is one of the reasons that they are having problems. Her dad's a sweetheart, and he's currently going through dialysis. I told him it's fine as long as she never contacts me or my family again. As for my mother, I've never gotten along with her, so I've blocked her for now. I'm not sure if it'll be forever, but I'm trying to find peace. For those who asked me to expose her publicly, I'm not going to do that. That was never my plan. I never said I would, I only said I would expose her to her family. I appreciate all the support I've received and those who have reached out to check on me. Y'all are great. I would appreciate it if you guys didn't DM me asking for usernames or if you're a news reporter. I really don't care. I'm not here to get clout, as some say. I just wanted to know if I'd be in the wrong, and I got my verdict. This might not be the update that y'all were wanting, but that's the only one that I have for now. And in the comments, wow, she needs a new paintbrush for her life. Maybe one that paints better choices? Glad her dad is stepping in. Let's hope he can help her color inside the lines from now on. This is why I don't do the whole influencer thing. We never really know who they are, and most of the time, people choose the road where they get things right and move on, so I know there's a lot of stuff that we never hear about, so I can't, at all, support anyone under those conditions. Yeah, it wouldn't look good at this point if you tried to publicly shame her. Not that you were planning to, so she's really someone to be pitied and then ignored. Kicking her while she's down, even if it was justified, just makes you look bad. Taking the high road is the way to go here, as long as she doesn't escalate. As we all expected, she was spoiled, so at least her dad acknowledges that. But also, too little too late. Now we know what she wanted that $200 for. As for your mother, man, that sucks. How was that girl's dad kinder to you than your own mother? Best mute that noise. I have a primo birther myself, been no contact for several years, and it's been so nice. I would feel like it's my duty to tell her boyfriend after specifically being warned not to. Please don't tell her boyfriend she's treating you like garbage. He's been thinking about breaking up with her due to her treatment of others. Like, how can you hear that and not immediately go, I'm sorry, but it sounds like he needs to know about this? Well, because the dad is still spoiling and enabling her bad behavior by cleaning up her messes. I think it's less cleaning up and more he doesn't want to deal with her tantrum. OP's issue is an easy fix. Distract daughter with the next shiny thing, but losing a boyfriend? Dad's gonna hear about that. But hey, that's what happens when you don't teach emotional regulation. Well, not even a tantrum, but I'm pretty sure she would end up spiraling, like a full-blown, all-hands-on-deck, 5-alarm spiral of bad decisions, horrible behavior, and a desperate and constant need for any attention, good or bad. Likely more bad than good. Honestly, OP is so much more gracious than I could ever be in a situation like this. Like, Jen is such a piece of shit grifter. Who cares how she reacts? But at the same time, the dad is on dialysis, and we really don't want to be stressing him anymore because he is quote-unquote innocent in this situation, even though he is still kowtowing to her and enabling her shitty behavior. I really just don't know what to think, but the dad saying don't tell the boyfriend because the boyfriend's gonna break up with her, like, that I will not be listening to. I don't care if you're on dialysis. What the hell? Like, no, the boyfriend needs to know about this at a minimum. Me personally, I'm exposing her regardless of what you're saying, brother. If she's got this much energy for me that she's gonna drag my name around her entire audience and all of my family, she's lost all charitability. There is no good grace anymore. It's like saying, oh, I'm sorry that he shot you in the chest, but he's actually a good person and you shouldn't report this to the police. Just let it go. Like, no. It's not happening. Thank you for the story, OP. I wish you nothing but the best going forward. Our next post is by user NoConsequence4154, and it's titled, Ex-husband's new girlfriend wants family to cut all contact with me. So I'm divorced. I will freely admit that I'm most at fault for the divorce. I never should have been married, but hindsight is 20/20, as they say. My own family is a shit show and a half. I've known my ex's family for the majority of my life. When we split up, some of his family has kept in contact with me, including his mum and one of his sisters. It's nothing crazy, but we grab a drink from time to time, and his mum just checks in to see how I'm doing. Knowing how my family is, she worries about me, even though I tell her not to. We split a few years ago, and the divorce was final more than a year and a half ago. Despite me being the asshole in my marriage, my ex doesn't have any crazy bitterness, and we have a decent relationship now. In the years since we split, he's never had an issue with his family staying in contact with me. I know for sure because I've asked. Enter new girlfriend. They've been together for 6 months or so. She's 27 and he's sneaking up on 40. Not that big of a deal, but she's not a fan of the fact that he's been married before. Actually, I'm the second ex-wife. How many red flags can we fit into one paragraph? As they've gotten more serious, she's taken extreme exception to the fact that his mum and sister in particular still keep in contact with me. I'm petty, and I laughed my ass off the first time she came at me about it all. Privately, I talked with his mum and sister though, and I told them that I totally understand if they need to cut contact to keep the peace. They assured me that they do what they want to do, and not what the girlfriend of a hot minute demands. Since I'm still in contact with them, she's taken the mature approach of posting all of my misdeeds on social media, some of which have impacts on people that don't deserve it. Well, maybe deserve it a little, but in any case, it's rocking a lot of boats. 3 weeks ago, I was out with friends at a bar. New girlfriend was there with the ex. She was livid and demanded that I leave immediately. I gave the appropriate response and laughed, turned around, and continued my conversation. She proceeded to hit me from behind and smashed my head into the bar top. I lost consciousness for a few, and when I came to, she was being pulled away and cops were being called. I declined charges at the time, but was told that if I change my mind, to contact them. So, Since she's being petty and posting everything about me, I'm thinking maybe those charges sound a whole lot better. My ex is begging me not to, saying that he will rein her in and get her to stop, but man, I want to pull the trigger now and just do it. As I've admitted, I'm not the good guy in this story. But am I the asshole if I do file charges against this girl? In the comments, press charges for sure. Facebook won't do much, but you can print them out to show a pattern of aggression with her. It'll reinforce the assault charge and might get you a restraining order against her. And OP replies, even if what she's posting is the truth? She's not posting lies, but all the same, it's things from years ago and causing a lot of undue stress for people, including me. Another commenter replies, your ex-husband here is kinda hilarious. I'm imagining he's standing in front of you, with you having the biggest black eye from getting your face smashed into the table by her, and having the audacity to basically say, I can fix her. If you see my ex with a black eye, mind your business. My current girlfriend loves me. OP replies, this makes me smile because it is kinda like him. Imagine a hot, massive 6'4" former football player with the softest heart ever. He sees the best in everyone to his own detriment. He's really a great guy and deserves so much better. I don't know this girl's story, but it's a safe bet that he thinks he can fix her too. Another commenter says, husband has really not upgraded his game. He really needs therapy to stop with the toxic women. OP says, lol, I'm pretty sure I told him this exact thing after the incident. When asked why didn't OP press charges, OP says, to be fair, it's not for her. I have guilt about what I did to my ex. I was definitely the arsehole to him, so I didn't press charges for him. But things have started to go off the rails since, so it wasn't for her. It was for my ex. He's ultimately a good guy that always wants to fix people that are in some way broken, hence our doomed marriage. He knew going into it that I had issues, but he cared and wanted to give it a shot. I don't know much of anything about this girl because, frankly, I didn't feel like it concerned me. But maybe he felt that she was his next one to fix, and it's not going so well. OP on the relationship with her ex-mother-in-law. My ex-mother-in-law is one of the best humans. She's long been the mother that I always wished I had. Even when I was the asshole, she called me on it, but still cared. I've told her and my ex that I understand and will bow out at any time. But she's still there for me. OP clarifies on being involved with her ex's family. I'm honestly not involved in my ex's life. My relationship with his sister predates our relationship, and his mum only checks in on my life and fills me in with her friend gossip. And my ex is fine with this. We were friends long before our romantic relationship, and while we aren't friends, so to speak, anymore, there isn't any animosity. Did OP know the girlfriend, and if she's apologetic? OP says, I honestly know next to nothing about this girl. While my ex moved past all our issues and we're good now, I don't feel the need to find out all the details on his new woman. She was apparently highly intoxicated, and he claims that it's highly out of character for her to be physically violent, but the pettiness now is just too much. Did OP have any kids with her ex-husband? We have no kids, but he has one with his first wife. They don't live nearby anymore, so her ire has been directed at me. First wife and I are very good friends, if you can believe that. How did the girlfriend know about OP's past with the ex? OP says, part of some therapy I was in. I had a journal where I wrote about things. I stupidly forgot about it when I moved, and it was his things. She found it. She found therapy journals that I forgot about and left behind. She's posting things from those. At this point, short of you murdering someone, I don't see how you're the asshole here. You being the asshole in your marriage does not mean that you should excuse her behavior and let her get away with this. And yes, your ex didn't do anything wrong here from your point of view, and that you're doing this for him, but that's not good. That's not healthy. This is not a healthy way of dealing with the absolute shit show that he has strapped himself to. She physically assaulted you, and his response was to be like, man, that really sucks, but can you not give her consequences for her actions? Because, I'm gonna fix her. I'm sorry that I didn't do anything to stop this from happening, but I'm gonna fix her. And then she goes ahead and starts posting all of your therapy journal stuff online? People get murdered for less. People get murdered for much less is all I'm saying, OP. How this woman has not ended up the victim of a true crime documentary at this point is beyond me. You are beating yourself up too much for your past wrongs in that marriage. You are extending far too much charity to this man and his favorite little basket of assholes. I think at a minimum, you need to get that journal back and you need to press charges. Something needs to happen here, please. And now, onto the update, posted the next day. First, thanks everyone for the feedback. I tried to read as much as I could and really appreciate some of the insights. So today, I learned that my ex actually did split with a girlfriend this past weekend. After reading many of the comments, I decided I was going to go ahead with the charges. I gave my ex-mother-in-law a call just to let her know, and so she could let my ex know so he had a heads up. I don't know or want to know the details of the breakup, but he ended it and told his mum that he understands if I wanted to press charges and that he should never have asked me not to in the moment. I spoke with the officer today, and that is done. Likely little will happen to her, but at least there are consequences. I had a lot of people asking why we divorced in the comments and DMs. Without getting too far into it, I've always been someone that didn't believe in monogamy or believe that it was something that I was capable of. My ex was aware of this going into our relationship and was on board for many years on our own definition of our marriage and relationship. Over the years, I could tell that it weighed on him, so I tried to change, believe in the things that he did, but ultimately it just didn't work. I ended the marriage in large part because he wanted more kids and I did not. I wasn't an angel, and the end was a little bit messy, but we came to a good place. Thanks again for the messages, and even for some of the funny, terrible ones. Those made me laugh more than they should have. In the comments, very happy to hear that you're pressing charges. People like that depend on folks not wanting to deal with it, so never suffer consequences. When finally someone, you in this case, is brave enough or mad enough to involve police, the offender has no record and gets a lighter penalty. Thanks to you, if she does it again, things will start to get a little sticky for her. Good for you, and good for you and your ex being able to get on good terms. Another commenter says, so glad to hear that you're pressing charges. Also, no one's business why you and ex broke up. Wasn't relevant to the story, and it sounds like you hold a lot of shame and guilt over it. You two just weren't compatible. Get yourself into therapy to deal with your feelings about it. You shouldn't live the rest of your life beating yourself up over what happened between you two. Dial M for Murder says, quote, he claims it's highly out of character for her to be physically violent. Nah, you just hadn't seen it yet, mate. No one smashes a person's head against a bar as their first ever violent incident. This, and they'd only been in a relationship 6 months. Not enough time to truly know someone. It was the honeymoon period. She probably had a very sweet mask because everyone puts their best foot forward when you first start dating. I have no doubt that she was inclined to lashing out violently. Like you said, your first time being violent isn't going to be smashing someone's head into a bar, especially when that person hasn't done anything physically to you first. This is making me ask myself, how long or well would I have to know someone before confidently saying that violence is out of character for them? Because it's definitely more than 6 months. I've been surprised by someone after knowing them for years. Some people can mask well, and others can just snap, even if it was previously out of character for them, but being out of character doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be dealt with when it does happen. Yeah, if it's out of character, don't ignore it. Get them a scan for brain tumors, reevaluate their medications, get some intensive therapy, and do some serious reflection. Something to figure out where it's coming from. Because if it's truly random with no known cause, then you can't guarantee that it won't happen again, and it's ridiculous to let that kind of outburst threaten every interaction. Sometimes I want to know more about the people involved in these posts, but then I remember how many episodes of Jerry Springer I watched growing up and realize I've probably seen it already. Holy shit, she should have pressed charges immediately. She lost consciousness. We call it a king hit here in Australia, and people have died from it. Yeah, we've had so many incidents of people just instantly dying from king hits. You get hit in the back of the head, you hit the concrete, and it's just game over. There was a really famous one here from when I graduated high school. Like, not long after, someone got king hit and died. My age, my area, really sucked. Even if he were to survive that, I would be shocked to hear that he was not pressing charges for assault. That's why I'm shocked that OP didn't do that here. That's like incredible to me. Then there's so much missing information in this update. Like, I really want to know if she got those journals back or not. Why did you have to go in about the ending of your relationship and not like the important details here, OP? Regardless, I hope everything goes well for you. Please come back with an update in the future telling us that everything's okay, because right now I am very concerned. But thank you for the story. Am I the asshole for warning my brother about a birthday surprise? I'll keep this brief. My little brother just turned 30 last week, and something I did has caused a bit of a problem. Me and my brother Nate both live in a smallish town, and we kinda have overlapping friend groups. One friend that we share is named Tyler. Tyler's your typical bachelor lifestyle kind of guy, while I enjoy my family life, and Nate enjoys his solitude and routine. About a month ago, Tyler told me that he wanted to take Nate to a strip club in the city for his birthday. I know my brother very well, and Nate has made it clear on multiple occasions that he does not like the idea of strip clubs. I told Tyler as much, and he responded with, he would like it once he's there. Tyler then tells me that his plan was to get Nate to agree to go somewhere else and then just take him to the city instead, like a pseudo-kidnapping. I told Tyler that's a bad idea and that would just piss off Nate. Tyler didn't care and thought that it'd be fun. Not long after Tyler told me his plan, I relayed all the info to Nate as a warning of Tyler's shenanigans. Nate thanked me for the warning. The day of Nate's birthday, I got multiple texts from Tyler asking if I knew where Nate was because no one could find him or get him on the phone. I genuinely didn't know where he was because we weren't doing anything for his birthday until the following weekend. I found out yesterday that Nate ducked everybody on his birthday by going out of town to his girlfriend's parents' house for the day. Nate's girlfriend let Tyler know that I warned Nate, and now Tyler's pissed at me because he had booked a private room and a specialty service at the club and isn't getting his money back. A bunch of mutual friends believe that what I did was a dick move, but there's several others saying that I did the right thing by Nate as he would have had a horrible time. Am I the asshole? Edit, just because I've seen a few comments already, Nate just started dating this girl around 4 months ago, and I've met her 3 times. I don't know her well enough to comment on her actions or intentions. She seems chill though, and it could be that she wasn't made aware of the entire situation when Tyler asked her for info. In the comments, not the asshole. For Tyler, it wasn't about Nate's special day, but about him showing off, having an excuse to spend money at the strip club. Anyways, it was about him and not Nate's birthday. Entitled much. You did right by your brother. And OP says, Tyler has a history of helping people celebrate things, and this might have been the first time that someone told him no, and he didn't take it seriously. Not the asshole. Good looking out. Not sure why they had to lose out on any money. They still could have gone to the strip club without Nate. And OP says, so I learned from a different mutual that the private room was for 2 hours, and they wasted too much time waiting for Nate that they missed out on the room. Not the asshole. You spared your brother from being blindsided and having a miserable birthday. Clearly, Tyler was trying to make your brother's birthday all about himself and what he wanted to do. Zero thought or care about what your brother would actually enjoy. Who cares if Tyler's pissed? He clearly has no respect for your brother. Let him be pissed. And OP says, there's a part of me that thinks Tyler genuinely believed Nate would enjoy it once he got there. Tyler has been doing stuff like this for years, and usually everyone has a great time. This might have been the first time someone told him no. Here I am forgetting the start of the story where my little brother just turned 30 last week. I got to the end and through all these comments and I'm like, yeah, is he turning like 18 or something? No, like, Tyler, what the hell's wrong with you? Brother, if a 30-year-old has already made up his mind about what he likes and what he doesn't like, there's no way you're going to pressure him into a private room with a specialty service. I get the mentality of the mutual friends being like, oh, that was a dick move. He was going to have a great time. What are you wasting everyone's money for? Like, come on, guys, get off it. It's not that deep. Tyler wasted his own money. Mutual mates wasted their own money by not just going to the room themselves anyway. They only have themselves to blame for this one, being a bunch of dickheads. So no, not the asshole OP. You did right by your brother. And now, on to the update. After posting this yesterday and seeing some of the initial responses, I did feel a lot less guilty. I also felt like maybe I was missing too many details myself, so I decided to go talk to Tyler in person. I want to start this off by saying that I don't think Tyler is a bad person. He's just the town party guy. He could honestly have a great career as an event planner if he wanted. After talking with Tyler last night, I can safely say that the vast majority of what is going on is all due to miscommunications from everybody. Let's start with the party itself. The main reason that a lot of our mutual friends were mad is because they thought either Tyler told me all the financial details and I still ruined it, or they thought that I just wanted to ruin the surprise. The private room he booked basically meant they got their own private stage and dancer for 2 hours. The specialty service was actually a funny birthday-themed event involving a cake and a birthday crown. As for Tyler, I don't believe there was any selfish motivation involved in his thought process. I swear Nate has some minor undiagnosed form of autism and might be the first guy that Tyler has met that doesn't like strip clubs. Our town has less than 50 businesses total, and 3 of them are strip clubs for a reason. Tyler also told me that he had no idea that Nate was seeing anyone, which I honestly believe because Nate is not the most outspoken of us and tends to just be a wallflower during most of our gatherings. I know Tyler comes across as a douche on paper, but he does have good intentions. Lastly, for Nate's girlfriend, I'm going to call her Abby for simplicity's sake. Abby was the most misinformed out of anyone here. At her parents' house, she saw Nate's phone blowing up, and Nate only said that there was a party that Tyler wanted him to go to, but he wasn't interested. When Abby asked him why he wasn't interested, Nate mentioned that I told him about it earlier in the week, which is why he made the plans to be here instead. Once they came back to town the next morning, they ran into Tyler at my dad's diner, and that's when she mentioned my name. We have all talked, and everyone is on the same page now. No one's mad at each other, and the dust has settled. I do want to thank everyone for reading and commenting. The support that I got from the comment section helped me get through the day. Hopefully this is the only update that I need to post. And OP clarifies on what they did for Nate's birthday. Our parents and I worked during the week and couldn't do anything substantial on the actual birthday, so Saturday we did a rage room. We got him a tattoo and then took him to his favorite restaurant. In the comments, Overall Search says, I haven't been to a strip club before, but I can't imagine a worst first strip club experience to be my birthday. I would probably get seriously depressed if my birthday was about hoisting tent with my homies eating cake near women who don't want to be there. It's like the feeling of the waitstaff coming to the table to sing happy birthday, but so much worse. They don't want to be there, I don't want them to be there, but one jackass thinks that it's hilarious, so we all have to suffer. I'm actually a little triggered by this because I've been Nate more times than I can count. Neurodivergence aside, Nate is clearly introverted, and there's this massive egocentrism on the part of Tyler thinking that putting him in a loud, uncomfortable, and sexual setting without his consent would yield anything other than complete misery for Nate. The sheer inability to consider that Nate's experience might not be the same as his is effing offensive. I hate people like that. Inconsiderate, self-centered prick. Quote, as for Tyler, I don't believe there was any selfish motivation involved in his thought process. OP is being way too generous to Tyler here. Even if you think that he genuinely believed his idea was something Nate would like, his insistence in spite of everything that his own brother was telling him is still selfish. Also, I genuinely don't know a single male in my family or circle of friends who likes strip clubs. I cannot, for the life of me, understand how anyone can like them, but each to their own. It seems to me that a lot of people are confusing OP's words, saying that not liking strip clubs means you're autistic. Like, guys, come on, can we have some more critical thinking here? That is not what is being said. Neurodivergence or not, if Nate doesn't want to go and Nate has said no, don't put it on him. If I put myself in Tyler's shoes, and I can't comprehend the fact that someone would not like strip clubs, full stop, I am living under a rock. I have not talked to enough people in my life that have different worldviews. So yeah, I agree with that comment. OP is being way too generous to Tyler. Tyler is either incredibly sheltered, which I do not believe, or he's intentionally obtuse. Either way, the point still stands. Tyler and his mates were in the wrong, and yet they tried to make it out to be like OP was an asshole for warning his brother ahead of time and not putting everyone through a terrible experience. Still, not the asshole. Thank you for protecting your brother once again, OP. I hope they learn from this and know not to do it again in the future because, for me once, thank you for the story. Am I overreacting? My boyfriend said I'm the prettiest when I shut up in front of his friends. My boyfriend, 25 male, and I, 22 female, were invited to a birthday party of his friend. The people at the event were all close friends of his from his contract job, and I barely know these people. Everything was going fine, and my boyfriend was clearly having a great time, but at some point, I was telling a story from my school days when my boyfriend interrupted and said, "You know, OP is prettiest when she shuts up." Everyone laughed, and my boyfriend just kept going, saying, "You guys don't know what I go through. She never stops talking. I swear to God, sometimes I tune her out for my own sanity." Or something along those lines. I'm usually really introverted, but when I warm up to someone, I'm the type to talk a lot. So when he said those words, I felt so embarrassed and humiliated, especially since he said it so casually in front of people that I don't even know. I tried to brush it off, but I got quiet after that. Later, after the party was over, I told him how hurtful his comment was. He rolled his eyes and said that I was being too sensitive and that it was just a joke and I was making a big deal out of nothing. He said that I embarrassed him by acting cold for the rest of the night and that I should learn to take a joke. He also told me that if I couldn't learn to lighten up, maybe I shouldn't come to events with his friends anymore, even though he was the one who asked me to come in the first place. I feel so awful and confused. Am I in the wrong for getting upset and killing the vibe? In the comments, Zucchini says, "Not overreacting. Your boyfriend straight up doesn't like you. If he feels so emboldened to insult you in front of his friends, this behavior will only get worse." OP, why would you want to be with someone who thinks savagely making fun of his girlfriend in front of people that she barely knows is a good joke? This was not good-natured teasing. It was quite insulting. Of course your feelings were hurt. Then, after all of this, he dismisses your feelings? Time to find a new boyfriend. Well, he not only dismissed her feelings, but flipped it around and said that she embarrassed him by acting cold in front of his friends. Then basically tells her that if she doesn't enjoy his emotional abuse, that she shouldn't come to any other get-together with him. She should run, not walk, as fast as she can, and let him be someone else's problem. Life is too short to settle. A Clownfish fan says, "He does not like you." That is what I gathered from this story. There's people who wouldn't say that about you. I'm sorry that that happened. He's an abusive asshole. I had an ex like that. He never liked it when I spoke out about things. Any man who basically tells you to shut up when you're just telling a story about something is not someone that you should be with. Leave him. It only gets worse with the controlling behavior. Damn, there's some other banger comments down here too, like, if someone says you're too much, don't be less, just be gone. If you can't match my freak, guys, don't step into the arena. Much like the last episode with the mum publicly humiliating the son all the time, it's not cool to publicly humiliate your partner for laughs. I don't agree with it. It's insanely disrespectful to then, minimize, I guess, his behavior by saying, actually, I'm not the problem, you're just too sensitive. Oh, come off it, mate. Shut up. Stop doubling down, just apologize, correct the behavior, stop upsetting your partner. But no, actually, this is a you problem, and I'm gonna keep doing me. That's the vibes I'm getting from this guy. And if your partner is gonna give you that energy, just walk away from that relationship. Is it ever going to get better if they don't want to be better people? Seriously? Everyone's always like, oh, Reddit is so harsh on this. They're so disconnected from reality. But in this situation, are they really? Are they really disconnected from reality? I don't think so. Sorry guys, Snarky Marky making a return. And now, onto the update 2 days later. I broke up with him. We had been dating for 2 years, and it was the first time he'd acted that way. So I was genuinely conflicted, and I wasn't sure if the joke really flew over my head or not. But I decided to leave. It takes me a lot of effort to come out of my shell, and I feel uncomfortable to stay with someone who doesn't like that. My self-esteem is usually really low, but this time I spoke up for myself once in a long time. We broke up over text. It sucked since he kept bringing up all his contract job friends over me again and again. These are people that he acquainted with less than 7 months ago, so that alone told me some things. I guess I won't be missing anything since he ended our text with, "Bye, I don't give a fuck." Oh my god, what an asshole. Thanks for all the sweet comments. At the time I wrote the post, I was feeling really down and cried a lot. I'm a bit sensitive, so I teared up reading some comments. Thanks again, and I hope everyone has a nice day. In the comments, Away Elephant says, "Proud of you, girl. Go get yourself some food and flowers and enjoy a movie. Self-care and happiness is best." I foresee him begging you for forgiveness in the near future when he realizes his work friends don't really give an F about him long term. My ex did something similar. We went everywhere together. I drove him everywhere due to no license or car, and I didn't realize that he viewed me as a taxi service. I thought that he loved being around me like I did him. We ran into the parents of a girl that he never dated, but liked in high school, years down the road, and he blew up at me in front of them that I was like his shadow and never gave him any space. I just replied, "Oh, I didn't realize a man with no ability to drive himself anywhere needed space." I walked myself to the car and didn't gain more self-respect for years. The Door Doesn't Work says, "Honestly, if my coworker said that about his girlfriend in front of me, I would never see him the same way again. He wouldn't be John the pretty good at Excel or John the trustworthy. He would be John the stay the fuck away, he's not right in the head." Pretty much, yeah. And given the vast majority of people don't want to start shit with work colleagues, what'll happen next is they'll just keep their distance. OP's ex is probably unaware that he's not going to be making any work friends, and his contract is unlikely to be extended as word gets around. I just don't get that. How do people have so little self-awareness that like, oh, my actions might have consequences? No, actually, they make me feel good because I have no self-awareness. Brother is 25 years old. Is this his first job? Is this the first time he's had a job? Like, does he not realize that people are going to judge him? I want to give people the benefit of the doubt, I really do, but I just feel like some guys are so dumb. Like, what is that text? "Bye, I don't give a fuck." What is wrong with you? What a childish way to break up with someone, and then what a childish way to act around everyone else. Is the only reason he was dating OP just for like easy access to sex? That has to be the only reason why. I love happy endings. I love that you did break up with him, OP. You deserve so much better. Again, thank you for a happy ending. It is much needed.